It's time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake.
Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again. This will be settled right at the end.
Everyone, and welcome back to the action here at PSGL as we head for round number 8 of the season. We're getting towards the halfway stage of this championship. I'm Ginger Andy. Dan Field alongside me once again tonight. It's the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps. It's one of the all-time classics, Dan. One of the highlights in the calendar. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely, really do love this circuit, and it is a fan favourite, and I think for the drivers as well, they really do love this track. Of course, the longest on the calendar. I see already someone is taking notice of the hat. Thank you very much. It is wonderful.
Well, go on then, Dan. For those that have not been, weren't with us last week, would you like to explain why you're wearing a Christmas hat in the middle of March?
Okay, so of course, I said stupidly, I think, that if Jarno sets another fastest lap, then I do a forfeit, and I left it up to him to make it, and he said to wear a Christmas hat. So I've got this on my head, and we're wearing it throughout the entire stream today.
Yeah, I'm liking the lights as well, Dan. Hopefully they're on for the lights out when we get going and get racing. Let's have a look at the standings then, folks. You said about Jarno Opmeer setting another fastest lap, and if you weren't with us last week, he was in outstanding form in Saudi Arabia. Absolutely blitzed the field in what was a shock wet race around the desert. I know, it's incredible. Who would ever have imagined that? And he really has been on fire ever since the controversy of the French Grand Prix with the pit lane entry, where Jarno felt he was unfairly treated in his eyes by the stewards, and he told everyone he was going to come back fighting. And hasn't he just? He's now won 3 races on the bounce, stormed not just back into championship contention, but into a 22-point championship lead. He is flying at the minute, and even by his high standards, he's in incredible form. He's on 69 points. Barry Buremand is in second on 47, with Shinaka Clay on 45. Jake Benham is next on 44, with Danny Beresney on 28. Then it's Alvaro Carleton, Wilson Hughes, and Nicholas Longy, Thymus Schutter, and Joni Tomala rounding out the top 10. So the standings really beginning to take shape, Dan, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Jarno Opmeer, of course, the clear leader at the moment. He is on a 3-race win streak, and he is unstoppable at the minute. Barry, Shinaka, and Jake, they're all very close on points, and then you got the further battles behind, between Beresney, Carleton, Hughes, and Longue, and even Shooter and Tormala. They're not too far out of that fight, so it is really lovely to see that we've got battles up and down the order for championship positions.
Yeah, be sure to. It should be very, very interesting. No doubt about that. Very much looking forward to it. Barry Burman, Shinaka Clay really need to get back into it, because Jarno Opmeer is beginning to break away and is in fine form. Qualifying about to get underway in a few moments' time here in Belgium. But before we do, here's a quick reminder to join our grid. Yes, we've partnered up with Grid Rival. Grid Rival, it's basically it's an app that supports motorsport fantasy leagues, and PSGL have got a fantasy league going for the Formula 1 2022 season. So be sure to check out the link which is shown here, the premiersgl.com/grid rival. Join the official league at that link, and yeah, be sure to check it out and maybe rub shoulders against me and Dan. But yeah, maybe Dan, you'll be rubbing shoulders with. I'll be ahead of Dan, don't worry about that. I'm sure I'll get the better of you, Dan, when we get going. I'll need to do it straight after this race.
Yeah, I think the same goes for me, but I'm not too sure what you're meaning about, you being way ahead of me, I think it's going to be the opposite way around. So,
Okay.
you know what? Let's bring it on.
Some fighting talk with the man with the Santa hat on. Interesting stuff from Dan Field there. But let's jump into qualifying, folks. It's time to get straight into it, and the drivers are just heading out right now on the racetrack for the start of qualifying. Jake Benham, he's out there now, and he's just making his way up the hill at the start of this qualifying session. So, Dan, exciting stuff ahead of us, and it should be an exciting session. Looks like some quite grey skies overhead, so I wonder if the drivers are looking to get out there nice and early with maybe a chance of rain, because at Spa there's always a chance of that, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, and of course PSGL's not been shy to the rain either. Of course, last week in Jeddah,
Exactly.
in the middle of the desert, we had a full wet race. So I'd imagine raining in Spa is not too far out of the ordinary. So we'll see. Maybe these guys are just coming out as early as they can to set these laps as quick as possible. If the chance of rain is coming, but then be a bit of a confusion wise. Louis Welch, Simon Perigny, Dario Yamilo, Luke Smith, all those guys still in the pit lane. So yeah, I'm a bit unsure as to what's going on at the moment, but all I know is that we've got about 15 drivers out on circuit willing to do battle.
Yep, 15 drivers out on track with 15 and a half minutes to go in this first part of qualifying. Reminder, if you've just joined us, PSGL in the top tier follow the format of full qualifying, which just adds that little bit of immersion, a little bit of realistic addition to it, and that's what we love to see. So, for those not familiar or new to Formula 1, the bottom 5 will drop out in Q1. So, 5 slowest, 20th to 16th, that will set their grid positions. And then we go into Q2, that will then set 15th to P11 in the field. And then in qualifying 3, the top 10 will fight it out for pole position in the grid. And those that make it into the top 10 will have to start the session or start the race on the tyres they qualified on from qualifying 2. So here's Jake Benham then crossing the line, taking us for a lap around this Spa circuit. Dan, take us for a spin.
In towards turn number 1 of La Source. He hits that apex very nicely, and off the exit you'll see how much he short shifts to get the power down as early as possible on the run up towards the infamous Eau Rouge and Radion complex. It's the first left of Eau Rouge, and then up the hill towards Radion, flying through there and up towards the Kemmel Straight now. DRS wide open, and this is one of the longest straights on the Formula 1 calendar. He's going to be reaching speeds of excess up to 325 kilometers per hour, braking zone at the 50 meter board in towards this chicane here, and at the highest peak of this circuit is now all downhill. There's a little bit of a slide off the exit in towards I believe this is Ravage. It's got a few different names on this calendar, but in towards No Name Corner. Jake Benham flying at the minute, taking the esports line where they use the AstroTurf off the exit of the track to get the best run in towards Pouhon. Really tricky on this game, and do not catch those inside curves, but up towards a next part of the circuit. Really easy to lose the car on the curves here, so you want to either mount them or not touch them at all, and Jake Benham has chosen the former. Now towards the lowest point of the circuit, it is Stabilo for him, and it's going to be a flat out ride up towards Blanchimont through here. It's looking nice from Jake Benham. We've seen our first time come out from Shanaka Clay in his Williams car, but the Mercedes flying at the minute. Tomek Parancic goes slightly slow, about 600ths off of Shanaka Clay, and then Clay's beaten by Longuet. In towards the bus stop chicane for Jake Benham to complete this lap, the last corner, and now onto the power for a flat out run towards the line. Where is Benham going to file into this grid, and he's going to split Longuet and Clay, and he's going to do a 41.4.
Yeah, good effort there from Jake Benham to get his session up and running. He goes into P2, so that's a good effort from him. Alvaro Keraton on an outlap at the minute. Let's go to the pad man, Louis Welsh. There he is, out there at the minute in the middle sector on the soft compound of tyre in that Haas. Let's see what he can do as he makes his way onto the back straight, or the flat out section in the final sector, which takes you all the way down through Blanchimont corner. This flat out left-hander, real fantastic challenge for the drivers. I was just coming up to the end of the lap. Don't think he's on a particularly quick one. I could be about to eat those words. I think I might be, as he comes round the final corner and then through the bus stop chicane towards the line. Where's Louis Welsh going to pop in with this latest run? He goes P12, 142.3, half a second off Tino Nakarunen, who's just popped in a time. Dario Yamilo coming into the pits. He's aborting that lap. Luke Smith, though, is out there, and he's in the final sector of the lap in the Aston Martin. So 2 corners to go for Luke Smith. Round that final one now. Comes up to the line. Where does Luke Smith go? In the order, early on, goes P6, 1:58.3 for him. So a few early times on the board. Ruben Pedreño now starting a flying lap in the Alpine. But before we go any further, let's just remind you guys, we've got 8 changes tonight, quite a few changes to the grid. You may have noticed that Wilson Hughes has been replaced by Philip Preschneider. John Evans is replaced by Thomas Ronhaar. Brendan Lee is out for Simon Perigny. Liam Parnell is out for Tino Nakarunen. Simon Schutter is replaced by Cedric Toney. And Simon Vagang in for Ruben Pedreño. Joshua Dobu replaced by Tomic Paradzis. And Daniel Haddad is out. Luke Smith, the man we've just seen go P6, he is in. So quite a few changes tonight, Dan, in the middle part of the season.
Yep, absolutely, but it is lovely to see some familiar faces back on the PSGL grid, you know, the likes of Cedric Tomei, of course retiring after F1 Esports, or at least taking a break for his own personal life. He's come back for this night in the Alfa Romeo, as is Tino Nakarunen. Good to see him back on the PSGL grid. It's also nice to see Fabrizio Donoso finally back from Chile and with his rig. Now he can get his season underway, albeit 8 rounds behind everyone else. His teammate for tonight, Ruben Pedreño, is coming through the final sector now, through Blanchimont and up towards the bus stop chicane, which isn't really a bus stop chicane. No brake marker board on the left-hand side of the circuit could cause some issues for these guys, but Pedreño has hit that very nicely and up towards the line. We'll see what the time is. It's going to be 8th position for him with a 1:41.6.
Yeah, 8th position for him. What about Alvaro Caraton then? Into the final corner he goes now, the Spaniard in the Williams. Round that final corner now, up to the line. Looks pretty good. It is pretty good. He goes P3, so 41.4 for Alvaro Caraton. Decent effort there from him. So who else we got out there in the lap? I'd like to get an idea of how Cedric's getting on out there. I mean, a man I've commentated on for many years, all the way back in the Xbox days when he took on Sally Saltunk. So let's see how he gets on here as he makes his way up the Kemmel Straight down towards the breaking point for the Lacombe chicane. Really as a legend of the world of league racing, this man. Been around a very long time. And look at that, Dan. Some rain on the camera. So we were right. The drivers poured out the pits. And this is why. Early signs of some rain midway through the first part of qualifying. So a bit of pressure here on the likes of Louis Wells, Cedric Toney, Daniel Yamilo, Philip Preschneider and Ronhaar, who ain't doing a lap. So those 5 all in a bit of trouble and need a lap time. And Cedric needs one right now in that Alfa Romeo. So what can he do then as he makes his way into the Fania chicane? Really high speed section of the racetrack. Very easy to lose the car on the curbs on the way into that part of the lap. Then very easy here on the through Stavolo to stick it into the runoff area, but Cedric keeps it all under control, and the German driver is making his way towards the end of the lap. So target to get into the next part of qualifying is only a 41.8, but I think he would like to be a little bit safer than that. So what can he do then as he comes up towards the final chicane now? Into the bus stop he goes. Needs the lap. Does the Alfa Romeo man? Can he find the lap to move him up from P17 up to the line he goes, and he only goes P14. He's in a bit of trouble with that one, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, at least he's cleared drivers like Perigny, Nakarunen and Louis Welch. Louis Welch unfortunately was further ahead on his lap than Cedric Tomei, but then he invalidated at Fanyas. Philip Preschneider was purple in the first sector, but he's lost a lot of time in sector 2, so I don't know if it's going to be good enough for the Slovenian drivers to cross the line. It's only going to be 17th position, and if the rain gets worse from here on out, we could be seeing these drivers all eliminated in qualifying. Yamulo is out on circuit, at least trying to get a lap in. He can jump Louis Welch, who's not put a good time regardless of the conditions, so at least he can start off the back row of the grid. But it's a 13.7 through sector 1 and 2, which is quite a bit off of what we've seen. The quickest sector 2 time is 42.9. He's done a 43.4, so 5/10 off of Nicolas Longuet in the second sector alone. It's not looking good for the Italian. Up towards the bus stop chicane, the final 2 corners and the final braking zone for the Alfa Romeo driver, seeing his qualifying hopes potentially dashed out the window, all ready to cross the line. It is going to be 18th position. He does find the time to jump Louis Welch, but he can do no better. And surely, with the rain getting heavier and the track getting damper, these guys are not going to improve.
Yeah, well, they're up against it, no doubt about it. Tino already 500s down through the first sector, but if there's any man that you'd expect to be good in slippery conditions on a damp track with dry tyres, it's a Finnish driver. So Tino Nakarunen, what can he do? as he makes his way into Ravage, this difficult right-hander. So easy to understeer through that corner. Now down into No Name, the left-hander. Easy to run wide and stick it in the barrier, but Nakarunen has it all under control as he now makes his way into Puhon, one of the most challenging corners on the racetrack. Used to be Eau Rouge back in the day. I'd say Puhon is a bit more of a challenge these days. Into that Fanya chicane where we spoke about easy to spin if you take too much curb, but Tino looks a little bit cautious, having to short shift, and it looks to me like he's having to bail out. So not looking good for Tino Nakarunen, not looking good for any of the drivers in the bottom 5, Dan, is it?
No, I'd say they are crashing out of qualifying here and now, even with 6 minutes left in qualifying. The wet weather conditions are at least slightly damp. DRS, as far as I'm concerned, is still enabled, so it's technically still slick conditions, but even so, they're not going to be setting the times that they would on a bone dry circuit, which we saw the laps from Longueuil, Benham, Carroton, Clay, all of those guys in the upper reaches of the grid. They all set their time on a bone dry circuit as they're all pulling into the pit lane now. Even though Louis Welch is still out on circuit, I wonder what the Padman is trying. Maybe he can find at least 2/10 to go ahead of Dario and see himself off the bottom row of the grid into 18th, but I don't see him pulling up 0.6 of a second to jump Simon Perigny.
Well, let's see what he can do. Louis Welch, the Padman, going for it on the circuit with a set of dry tyres on a dampening track. Let's see how he gets on. He's certainly got his work cut out. Let's see how Eau Rouge goes. It could be tricky, it could be a challenge, but he just about gets through there without too much trouble. So Louis Welch now opens up that DRS. You can see the rear wing there. It is open, so no DRS disabled just yet. Let's see how that first sector looks. Look at the top right-hand corner, a 1/10.5 down, and there's not too many corners in that amount of racetrack, so it does look like this is going to be the end for Louis Welch, the end for his teammate Thomas Ronhar, who didn't do a time, Dario Yamilo, Philip Preschneider and Tino Nakarunen. Let's see how his middle sector is, but Dan, it does look like the time, and the grip is slipping away as the rear slides there, and he almost gave the Haas team a bit of a repair job as well.
Yeah, he's managed to keep it out of the barriers, but I think that solidifies it for him. And yeah, just for good measure, off the exit of Puon, he's invalidated his time. I'd imagine they're all going to be in the pit lane. Maybe we'll see some drivers practicing the intermediate, but I'd imagine they might get called to just retire from the session, just in case. You know, we don't want to waste any time here, but if they want to put times on the intermediates, you know, they're obliged to. They still have 4 minutes in this session, but is it even wet enough for that? Louis Welch is still finding grip, almost going flat through Blanchemont, just had a slight lift there. Of course, he's not carrying as much speed as he normally would in the dry, and you'll see how he's having to crawl to a halt to just pull into the pit lane. And with that, Louis Welch into the box now. All 18 drivers that haven't retired are all in the pit lane.
Yeah, so there you go, 18 drivers in the pits, they're all in there, and now we're getting a few drivers taking the decision to retire, so hopefully we'll get the next part of qualifying underway shortly. But while we're in this pause, I think now is a good opportunity to get interactive with everyone in the chat. Thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. It's great to have you on board for round number 8 of the championship here in Belgium. Tell us, what are your predictions for this qualifying session? Who do we think is going to get the pole position? The early pace setter, Nicolas Longueuil, but of course they've only done one lap so far. It's difficult, we don't have a big sample size, but go on folks, tell us who is going to be the man on pole position going through qualifying one. We'd like to hear what you guys think. So who's going to get pole today, Dan? It's a bit early, but without any clear form through Q1 and Q2, it's going to be a risky one for us, but go for it. Tell us, who do you think might get the pole?
God, I've at least got to wait until Q3, but a shot in the dark, I'd say Barry Burman. You know what? I think Barry's going to set pole today, even though Jarno is on a complete tear, and I do have him set for the win. I think Barry is going to, over one lap, he is one of the quickest drivers. As we're actually seeing some action out on circuit. We've got Louis Welch's Haas on intermediate tyres. He's got no reason to be out on track if he's not in the next session of qualifying, unless that spells rain for the race.
Yeah, he's got no reason to be out there, but he can do it if he wants, and he will do it. So, Louis Welch, the Padman, out there on a set of intermediate tyres. Best of luck to him if he wants to try and get through. Don't think that. Maybe he's going to try and dry the track, but I don't think he's going to have much joy with that. But anyway, let's have a look at what some people are saying in the chat while Louis Welsh does his outlap. Daniel thinks it'll be Caraton or Yarno. William says Benham Pole. Who knows? Maybe. Bastian thinks it'll be Barry Burman for the pole position. And we've got Yarno, a lot of people saying Yarno pole. Kevin says Yarno pole, easy. Okay. Lemonade says it'll be a Barry pole. FFM and more says Yarno. King Kyoriak, one of the legendary commentators, says it will be Barry Burman. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people going for Yarno. The majority going for Yarno. A few people saying Jake Benham. And we've also got some people saying Barry Burman. So Barry, Yarno, Jake Benham. Kind of the majority of what people are saying. We had a few shouts for Caraton as well, but we're hearing there could be some rain for the race. That's what Wilson Hughes is saying, so that could really mix things up as well, couldn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I can look on Taz actually, and we've got the weather forecast for the race. It's the first 15 minutes light rain, then it's going to go to overcast and then into cloudy conditions, so it will dry up at some point in this race, but it will begin as a wet performance as Louis Welch. Maybe he's just doing an insulation lap. No, he's going to go out here, so he's trying his best for the intermediates, getting the practice in early. We only have 3 runners who haven't retired. Boromand, Otmir and Louis Welch, who's on circuit at the moment, braving the conditions on the intermediate tyre. And I know we didn't bring our raincoats last time for Jeddah, but I know I'm nice and wrapped up here.
Well, here he goes then. Louis Welch. Of course, I brought the coat for this one. Of course I brought it, Dan. I would never bring it for Saudi. We get caught out, but I certainly wasn't coming here in the short sleeve t-shirt to a spa, and I've been proved right on this occasion. But here is Louis Welsh coming up towards that first sector, 1.3 down, as you would expect on the intermediate tires. I can only presume that he knows it's going to be light rain for the start of the race, and maybe he's put a bit of fuel in it and decided, okay, let's simulate the start of the race and do a couple of laps. Maybe that is what Louis Welsh is thinking. What do you think, Dan? Do you think that's a reasonable shout? He could be doing that?
Sorry, I was having a little bit of lag issues there, so I only caught the end of that.
Yeah, I've just said, do you think Louis Welch might have put some fuel in the car and he's trying to simulate lap 1 of the race?
Possibly. That could be it. Well, he's only got enough time for 1 lap, of course. He's got no more session left. He is out of qualifying because he's not going to improve on this run, as is now Karunen, Presneda, Yamulo and Ronha, who he retired right away in quali, so I wonder if he had a qualifying ban. I don't know if we can get confirmation, but Louis Welch just through Blanchimont now. You'll see he is struggling in these now firmly intermediate conditions. Will these carry on into the next part of qualifying? We'll have to wait and see, but in towards the bus stop chicane for Louis Welch. Hopefully he takes the flag. Yes, he does. That is a lot quicker than pulling it into the pit lane. I always like it. Instead of going into the pits, they complete the lap. That's across the line, and Q1 is over.
Yep, Q1 is over then. So, well, that was a bit of an anticlimax, wasn't it? Oh, that wasn't much of a Q1 session. We can only make it as exciting as it is, folks. And unfortunately, the rain has kind of ruined the conclusion to that first qualifying session. But I'm sure things will pick up as we move into Q2. But, you know, let's take a look at the final results. Nicholas Longue then, on top for Red Bull in qualifying 1. 0.08 of a second ahead of Jake Benham, and Alvaro Caraton is 3rd. Shanaka Clays, Williams' teammate, is right behind him with Barry Bunnermand in 5th. Yannick Tomla, Luke Smith, Tomic Paradzes, Ruben Pedreño and Danny Perez, they complete the top 10. Then it was Jarno Watmere, Fabrizio Donoso on his return, De Capua, Tomei and Perigny. Out go Tino Nakarunen, Philip Presneder and 3 others, which I missed at the bottom there, but I know it was the 2 Hassies and the other one escapes me, Dan. But we've lost 3 cars this session. But really enjoyed that initial part of qualifying. It tailed off with the weather, but hopefully we'll have more stable conditions in Q2, Dan. Looks like it's going to be damp, and maybe we'll get an idea who's looking hot and who's not going into the final part of qualifying. I wonder who'll make it through.
Yeah, of course, we didn't really see any representative runs in the first session of qualifying, unless Jarno Opmer's 11th quickest, which I highly doubt given his form as of recent. But I'd imagine in Q2, if they stay like this, if the conditions are similar throughout, then we should see a lot of running through here. Of course, in the intermediate conditions, everyone likes to put in a bit more fuel than you normally would and go out for multiple hot laps at a time. But Q2, Andy, is just getting underway.
Q2 is getting underway, so you know what we'll do? We'll jump in and have a look at it. There they are, the drivers heading out onto the track. Jake Benham, one of them, but I think he's going to be beaten out there by Fabrizio Donoso. So there he is then. He's in a nice little break to start the year, hasn't he? Went to Chile, and now he's back at Chile Spa for this race tonight. Yeah, good to have him back, Dan, isn't it? Our top driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Really do love having such a prolific driver like Fabrizio Donoso on the PSGL grid. And it's felt a little bit empty without him, but it's great to have him back in the picture. And hopefully we'll be seeing him challenging right at the top. Of course, Donoso is one of the longest running league racers and F1 esports drivers of all time. And if I'm not mistaken, he finished, what was it, second? Maybe third in the first ever season of F1 esports, all the way back in F1 2017, won by Brendan Lee. And I know the top three was made up of himself, Lee, and then Sven Zerner, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of history riding on this Alpine shoulders, and hopefully he can carry that forward into this lap.
Yep, so here we go then, 13 minutes to go, 15 minutes to start the session, but of course they're all on their out laps. Good to see all 15 cars out there. I wonder what that means. Does that potentially mean the conditions are going to worsen, Dan? Maybe it does. We'll have to wait and see, but they're all out there on their out laps very quickly indeed. Donoso going to be one of the first ones out there, but there is a few cars further round, and I think it will be Danny Beresnay maybe? Or Simon Prigney? Yes, it's Danny Beresnay, the Hungarian driver, who of course back in Hungary took a brilliant result, didn't he? P2 I believe it was. He was on the podium, a fine result at his home race. They'll be looking to do that a lot more consistently now. You know, now he's racing more consistently in the league racing scene, and they'll be looking to try and get a strong result here at Spa, a track he really enjoys. So I wonder if he could be on track for a strong result tonight, Dan. Every possibility.
Of course, but back in Hungary, you know, he pulled his best Fernando Alonso impression, was a complete iron wall, and really helped out Jan Otmir take that win, but on merit, because he was able to keep up with him for quite some time. And you touch on how he really does enjoy this circuit. If you think back to the first WOR race of the recent season, he actually won that Grand Prix. Started off the season very well. And so hopefully he's going to be carrying that form over into PSGL. He's just coming through No Name Corner now, and you'll see he's going to pull back onto the circuit, not taking the esports line, probably a bit slippery out there, but into Pouon, which is already tricky in the dry. It's a whole other ball game in the wet, but he's taking that very nicely, slight correction off the exit in towards Fania now, where you want to keep off the curb in the wet unless he's just lightly tapping it, mounting the second part and then running wide on the exit to use up the most of the track you can in towards Stavelot and up towards Paul Frere. Now I'm learning all of the track names, the corner names as I go along. Up towards Blanchimont now. Danny Beresnay looking very smooth on this lap, I would say. I've only noticed one or two minor corrections. He's had no major snaps of oversteer, no major issues, so it's looked really nice and tidy for the Hungarian. And in towards the final two corners, a double lock-up on the front tyres, but that's not going to slow him down whatsoever, because off the exit of the corner to set the benchmark for Q2, there's going to be Danny Beresnay with a 1 minute 51.7.
Yeah, good banker in there from Danny Beresnay. Let's see how it stacks up. Here's Tomek Paradzis now, the Polish driver, makes his way around the final corner, heads for the line, and it's a 1 minute 52.3, and early signs are that's a very good lap we're seeing then from Danny Beresnay. How is Jarno Otmir getting up? I've not actually picked him up so far tonight. We barely needed to pick him up in Saudi Arabia as well. He just took off into the distance in that race and put it in one of the best performances I've ever seen from Jarno, and that says a lot, because there's usually quite a few good performances. Simon Perigny now goes to the top of the order with a 151.6. So it's a Ferrari 1-2 at the top of the order. How does Jarno Otmir stack up against that? He crosses the line now and goes P6, 152.0, 4/10 down on Simon Perigny. So Jarno not showing the formidable form we've seen from him in Jeddah so far, is he?
I mean, he's still got plenty of time in this session, still got 9 minutes left to go. His teammate Jake Benham was actually purple in the first sector. I believe that's been taken away by Alvaro Caraton. Of course, drivers typically do multiple runs on the in the intermediate conditions. But so far, Jake Benham is looking pretty tidy on this lap. I think the rain is definitely beginning to pick up here, and it is getting trickier and trickier to keep the ship stable. As through Pawn, you're seeing he's having to lift a lot more than we saw Berejne do. As Benham in towards Fanya now. The rain, if it's picking up even heavier, then we could see once again shifting towards the wet conditions, and then qualifying. There could be huge upsets here.
Yep, every possibility. We'll wait and see. But I think the times are getting quicker though, because Jake Benham's finding a bit of time through the second sector. So maybe the track is drying a little bit, or maybe the drivers are just getting more and more used to the current conditions, finding their reference points, using their delta as a good marker as to where to brake later. Who knows? But here is Jake Benham, and I think this might be enough to go quickest of all. Here comes the Mercedes man. He does like it around Spa into the final corner. He once gave me a crash course on how to do this Spa circuit, and I'm still very slow. Here's Benham to the line, goes P4, 151.7. Decent effort from him. How's Nicholas Longue getting on as Caraton goes quickest on a 151.4? Good effort there from the Spaniard. Here is Nicholas Longue, the Frenchman, round the final corner in the Red Bull, charges up to the line and goes P6 with a 1 minute 51.8. Otmir going again. How does he stack up? Barry Buneman now goes quickest of all. Otmir to the line this time, goes P3, 151.6, but still 3/10 off that lap from Barry Buneman. What about Danny Berejne? He's out there. Perigny, he wasn't a quick one. How's Cedric Toney getting on? Tomei goes P13. So 2 runs now from most of the drivers, and we have got Barry Buneman on top from Alvaro Caraton and Jarno Otmir so far.
The laps really are flying out here, and it is Barry Buneman, my pick for pole position, currently on top in the wet weather conditions. I'm not too sure if anyone else is on a push lap, although Danny Berejne is slightly up on his previous best, but it's only by 9,000ths of a second. So if he continues on this upwards trend, then it's not going to be too much of an improvement. I know Otmir is also on a push lap at the minute, as Berejne unfortunately invalidates down there. So I think we've got to ride on board with Jarno Otmir. Purple in the first sector for the Flying Dutchman in his Mercedes. We'll see what he can do through No Name, taking the esports line, riding the outside of the circuit on the AstroTurf in towards Pouon, the downward left-hander where it's really tricky not to touch the curbs. It's so tempting to, but it will send you into a complete spin through Fanya now. Jarno Otmir, as the chat goes elacious, because I know everyone loves Jarno Otmir in PSGL. We'll see what he can do as he's about to come up towards the second sector split. He's 600s up in the first sector, and he's 600s down in the second, so unfortunately he's lost time there and he backs out.
Okay then, so Jarno Otmir struggling to get on terms with Barry Buneman at this stage, but of course we know he's been in great form lately. We saw in Saudi, I mean, it was incredible, Dan, wasn't it? It was lap after lap in qualifying, bang P1, bang P1, bang P1, and then just drove away in the race. And you know, it was ominous signs in Saudi. We should probably have expected it given the way he was driving in qualifying. But in the end, he did in the end drive away, but maybe not tonight. Maybe he's got a race in his hands. It's going to be exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it. Luke Smith out there, he's on a hot lap. Let's see how he gets on. Well, the only man out there on a hot lap, I believe, at the minute. Let's see how he can perform. Of course, back in Monaco, had that win cruelly stolen away from him because he cut the pit lane exit. And that was a real shame for him, because that was a fine performance at Monaco, but it looks like he's invalidated this latest run, and he is also no longer on a quick one. But he's certainly one to watch, Dan. He's really rising up through the ranks in the world of league racing, and in the future probably in esports as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Luke Smith, he is the definition of a grinder, I would say. He's put so many hours into every F1 game for about the past 5 years. I believe someone calculated it. I think it's somewhere in the range of like 8,000 hours. And he is of age now. He's 16 years old, so he can qualify for challengers next season. And certainly this is a name you have to watch out for, because he is possibly the future of F1 esports. He beat all those accusations that people had against him quite some time ago, and he rose above it. And that's what we really love to see in league racing. But he is just being trailed by Shanaka Clay, recently joining the Williams team.
Yep.
Now racing in blue, rather than what we know him as in the green. He's about to complete his outlap. He's currently 10th at the moment, so right on the bubble, only 1,000th off of Ruben Pedreño. But in towards the bus stop chicane. He's got a mostly clear track in front of him. Here goes Shanaka.
Yeah, we spoke to Shinaka Clay, didn't we, in WR after that podium finish the other night, and he was telling us about his move to Williams. He's really looking forward to it, really excited for the future ahead in the world of esports. And I've got to say, Dan, it is so strange seeing him in the Williams car and not in the Aston Martin. It's so strange looking at the left-hand side and seeing a blue chevron next to the name Shinaka Clay. You're so used to seeing him in the Aston Martin, and I'm sure, whoa, what a slide that was going through Eau Rouge. Goodness me. I think you might need some toilet roll after that. That was a big moment for Shinaka Clay going through Eau Rouge, Dan, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that's cost him a lot of time on that run. He's 2/10 down on his previous best, and yeah, I think that might be a Code Brown situation for Shinaka Clay, but he comes over Malmedy now. I guess we got to pick up someone else who is going to be on a flying lap. I believe Joni Tormala and Donoso, both of them in tandem on circuit at the moment. Currently 11th and 12th. Unfamiliar territory for the pair of them. Of course, both of them race winners in PSGL previously. I believe Joni won in Netherlands last season, and then Donoso won in Austria. They're about to begin their runs in towards La Source now. And a little bit of a slide off the exit there. They have a completely clear track in front of them, which is lovely to see. It means they're not going to be hindered by anyone. We'll see how is Joni Tormala going to fare through Eau Rouge and Radion. And he's taking that very nicely. What about Donoso? Slight slide on entry, but again, they've both managed to handle that very nicely in D. They're about to both come to the first sector split. It's going to be Joni Tormala. We'll see what his improvement is. Unfortunately, slightly down in sector 1. What about Donoso? Even further down, 3/10 off. And surely this means that we could be in some wet weather conditions, and the intermediates aren't up to scratch anymore.
Yeah, perhaps that is the case. We did say that could be the possibility, and if that is the case, we're getting a bit of deja vu from what we saw in Q1, where the tyres that they want to go on, they can't go as quickly anymore. So, yeah, Tormala backing out. Let's go to Donoso as he pulls alongside him now. And we can go on forward him, but he's, of course, invalidated and not going quickly at all. What about Alessio De Capua? Oh, in fact, Donoso, as we cut away from him there, had a big slide, but we'll go back to De Capua now. How's his first sector looking? Needs to find some time with 2 minutes to go in the session, and he's 1 and a bit tenths down. And are we, for the second successive qualifying session, going to have an anticlimactic conclusion with Joni Tormala out, Fabrizio Donoso on his return out, Cedric Tomei out, and the both Aston Martins of Alessio De Capua and Luke Smith out? I think we might.
I mean, Cedric is on a run at the minute, but even so, he's not looking confident at all. Drivers can't get around for an outlap now, so if they're in the pit lane, then they're not going to be setting a lap, and that is the case for everyone in the top 8, aside from Danny Bergene out on circuit, and Cedric Tomei, yeah, he's down on his previous best, and I'm seeing accusations that we've got custom weather on. I can confirm it is dynamic, and it's pretty common to see rain in Belgium, so I don't know where you're getting that one from, but I mean, you do you. I think though, Andy, this is the end of qualifying.
Yeah, to be fair, I can understand why he thinks we've got custom weather, because, I mean, who's ever seen a wet race in Saudi Arabia? No one has ever seen that before. I can understand why. I mean, honestly, we think the game might have been drunk, but there you go. Sometimes you never know what's going to happen in PSGL. And yes, I can confirm, folks, the weather was on dynamic when we got some rain in Saudi last week. So trust us, it's always set to dynamic. There's never any custom weather. But yeah, a bit of a strange one, shall we say, on that occasion. How's Donoso getting on? He's in the pits. He's bailed out. Shinaka Clay is going slowly. P10. Obviously, he went out there because he was on the bubble, but it doesn't look like it's going to be happening for him. And it looks like Tormala is going to go again, but he's already invalidated it, and it just ain't happening for him either. So once again, yet another session has been ruined at its climax by the weather, Dan. What a shame that is. Hopefully, Q3 will be a little bit more of an exciting finish, and I'm sure it will be. But there is your top 10 anyway, we think, going into the next part of qualifying. I doubt we're going to see any improvements. We'll keep an eye anyway before we set that in stone and how De Capua gets on through the first sector. Is he up? Is he down? Let's have a look. Oh, 700's down. Is it coming back to him? Maybe it is. We'll keep an eye on him. Luke Smith is further round, so let's stick with this then. These guys digging in and pushing on and going to try and get it. So maybe we've called it too soon. Let's see if these guys can do it. Luke Smith making his way through the Puhon corner and now down towards the Fanyou chicane. How's his middle sector going to be looking? Currently P15 and on the brink of a pretty disappointing qualifying is the Aston Martin driver. In fact, both Aston Martin drivers are on the verge of a pretty poor qualifying. Luke Smith, middle sector, how's it looking? 3.5 tenths down, and I think, oh, as he slides big time coming out there of Curve Paul Freire, I think, Dan, it is game over. De Capua, middle sector, won't matter, he's invalidated it.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the two Aston Martin drivers, and fair play to them all for coming out on circuit trying to improve their times even when it looked highly unlikely. Luke Smith going to complete this lap anyways, just if he has any semblance of hope that he can get out of Q2, and no, that is not the case. He skids across the line. De Capua invalidated his run. Cedric Tomei is down by about 5 tenths at the minute in the second sector alone, so I'd say it's over for him as well, which means we're going to see some shock exits in Q2. I'm looking at the likes of Joni Tormola and Fabrizio Donoso on his return to PSGL, eliminated in Q2.
Yep, so then, a bit of a shame for him to bow out, but he's been a victim of the weather, as have the other 10 drivers that have bowed out at the halfway stage. With 10 drivers out, we've got 10 drivers left for the final part of qualifying. And folks in the chat, it is time to get your predictions in. We've got a very interesting top 10 lining up. DMRS is asking, why is Jarno always here but Danny and Jake always changing? Explain, please. Well, you know, sometimes the drivers have got certain things on and, you know, they have to alternate and we have to do some reserves. We've actually got 8 changes in the grid tonight. So it's not just at Mercedes, it's at several of the teams. There's quite a turnover of drivers from time to time. It can be quite frustrating. I think PSGL at times have said, you know, to try and be here more often, more consistent. But, you know, sometimes drivers have things on. But there is the results then. Your bottom 5 going out from qualifying. Joni Tormola in the Alpha Tauri. Fabrizio Donoso is out. Cedric Tomei also out. Shame to see him go out. And both Aston Martins, Alessio De Capua and Luke Smith, bowing out at this stage of qualifying. So Q3 coming up, folks. Time now to get those predictions in. Hopefully, we're going to have an exciting finale to this session, Dan, because so far we've been robbed.
Yeah, absolutely. It is slightly frustrating that this is the case at the minute, you know, where it started off in dry conditions in Q1, then it went over to the intermediates and drivers in the bottom 5 couldn't improve. The same thing happened from inters to wets in Q2, and in Q3, hopefully we can see some consistent weather action, and then we can see drivers really testing themselves right to the bitter end. 12 minutes of Q3 starting very soon, Andy.
Yep, not even soon. It's starting now. So let's jump right into it then, and let's see how things go as Jake Benham makes his way onto the track. So, Dan, I've yet to ask you. Well, I have asked you. You've went for Barry Burmand earlier on. Are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I'm going to keep with Barry. I think he is going to nab pole in the end, but I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Longuet or Otmir or even Clay, you know, anyone really can set pole, and I think they're all quick enough to be the fastest man at the end of qualifying. But I'd say if I'd put money on it, I'd say Barry here.
Okay, I'm also going to go Barry Burmand. Sorry to be boring, folks. Usually we like to go for something different, but I agree. I think Barry Burmand's looking strong. But I'm going to go each way. I mean, Cheltenham's on right now, so I can go each way, can't I? I'm going each way on Danny Beresney. He likes this track. He's going well at the minute. Won here in WOR at the start of the season. So he's going to get in the front row, I think. Danny Beresney front row. That's my shout for him. But let's see how things pan out. Qualifying getting underway. This should be an exciting 10 minutes. Variable conditions. But, Dan, it does look like the track's starting to dry slightly. So could it be last man over the line?
It might be the case. I mean, it's still firmly intermediate conditions at this moment in time, and Alvaro Carreton is certainly feeling that. He's got a completely clear circuit in front of him, but yeah, we could possibly see some dry-ish running towards the end. I'm looking at the weather forecast now, and indeed, it will become overcast, then cloudy. But we could see some drying up at some point in this session, but for the time being, they can't rest on their laurels now. They've got to go for their push laps. Alvaro Carreton beginning his run in towards La Source, Andy. see. Can't hear us. Oh, they can hear me. Yeah.
Okay, don't know how I've done that. Must have pushed the wrong button. Apologies, folks, but I am back. Don't know how that happened, but nevertheless, I am back. And here comes Alvaro Caraton, making his way towards the final couple of corners now. Let's see how it lines up for his first lap in this qualifying session. Here he goes then, into the bus stop chicane. Any reminders of George Russell and a Williams in damp conditions at Belgium? I'm getting that now. But here comes Caraton to the line. It's a 51.4, the target to aim for. How is Barry Bruneman and Tomic Paradzis shaping up? Here's Paradzis, he's second. He cannot beat it. Ruben Pedreño is next to cross the line. Can he beat it? He crosses the line now. He can't. What about Shinaka Clay? He is going to the line, but he has invalidated the lap. What about Daniel Beresney? First it will be Perigny. He goes P2, and the times are coming in. Here is Otmia. What can he do now? Up to the line goes pole position. 51.2. It's first blood to Jarno Otmia of those that's ran so far. But I'm hearing Brunemand is out there and pushing Dan. Okay, so just to be clear, folks in the chat, I know you guys are complaining about the audio. Can someone just clarify what it is? Is the game sounds decided to glitch us? Is it anything we can do at our end, or is the game sounds just letting us down? If you can let us know, please do, because I'm not sure if there's anything I can do at my end at the minute. But what I can tell you is Tomic Paradzis, yeah, game sound died. Okay, folks, not much we can do. Hopefully it sorts itself out for the next part of qualifying. I have paused and unpaused. Here is Tomic Paradzis then in the final couple of corners. He's going to make his way to the line now. Paradzis, currently P6. Where can he go now? He can go P4 on a 151.3. Someone asked me if I wanted to do some own car sounds. If you want, I can do a V8, but I can't do a V6. So, no, you're not getting it. Shinaka Clay into the final corner. Can he go pole position? No, he can only go into P7. We're getting more and more runs. Perigny into the pits. Otmia is going again. Can he extend his margin even further? It's so close between he and Beresney at 50.9. He is now back outright in front and by 0.3 of a second, and it is a super lap. What?
To maybe you turned it off on OBS or something like that, because it's a part of desktop audio.
Yeah, I did turn it off on OBS. You know what it is? I think I'm picking up my glass of water and touching the wrong key. So apologies, folks. I don't know how I've done it, but it keeps doing it. So hopefully that won't happen again.
I suppose we just got to move on. Apologies
Sorry,
for the issues, everybody.
Anyway, who else we got out there on the track? Well, they're all happy now, so you've got us back, folks. Apologies, I don't know what I did. I must have pushed the wrong button or something. Yeah, I'm still getting used to this Streamlabs, folks. I'm not used to it, but we're getting there. Bottom line is, Jarno Otmia is top by 0.3 of a second, and we need to talk about that because that is quite a significant margin, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. He is miles up on anyone at the minute. Although I am seeing in the pit lane, Jake Benham's fitted a set of a soft compound of tyre. I'm not too sure if he is going to be using it in this session. I'm seeing yellow flags, so I can't actually see the timer. I wish, I believe it's Danny Beresney. If we go a little bit quicker, then we could see how much time we have left in this session. But it is going to be a bit touch and go as to whether we do get dry conditions. Meanwhile, Longay is on a run at the minute, as is Shinaka Clay. Longay, I believe, has backed out of his run there. But Clay into the pits, so yeah, I think everyone is backing out of their intermediate laps. Alvaro Caraton's come out of the pit lane on a set of the green wall tyre. But it's interesting to see how things are stacking up at the minute. Yeah, things stacking up very interestingly. I mean, I had my money on Barry Bruneman, I really did. He was in great form
in the first couple of parts of qualifying, but Jarno Opmy has just turned up the heat big time. It's as if he's just taken the sandbags out and blitzed everyone by 0.3 of a second. It's a brilliant effort from him. We've got several in the pits, but what we can tell you is that Alvaro Caraton is out there on an outlap at the minute, so let's see how he gets on. He and Jake Benham both on outlaps, but I've got to say that's quite a substantial gap for Jarno Opmy. Oh, look at that on the left-hand side, folks. A few soft tyres being fitted in the pit lane. Will they go out there and will they have the pace on them? Will it work for them? That could get very interesting.
I mean, we got just under 3 minutes left in this session. Jarno's fitted a new set of the intermediate, so he's not feeling that it's going to go dry. Longe has also popped on a set of the soft compound of tyre, as has Perigny. So these guys are thinking about the short game, I suppose. It's not really the long game at this point. It's only 2.5 minutes left. As yeah, they're all on a set of the softs in the pit lane. Alvaro Caraton's pulling back into the pits now. I'd imagine Benham's going to do the same, but it's going to be touch and go as to whether Jake can get his car serviced and get his outlap in time. So, Andy, it's all getting a little bit tasty here.
Well, folks, you may have been tuning in since the start of qualifying and seen two very anticlimactic qualifying sessions in Q1 and Q2, but I think we're going to be in for a bit of a treat here in qualifying 3. This could be a case of last man across the line on pole position. The track is drying out here at Spa, and this could be one of the best qualifying sessions in PSGL history. This could be epic, folks, so buckle up your seatbelts, grab the popcorn. Qualifying 3 is going to be very tasty. Last man over the line could get pole here, and that, you would think, would be Jake Benham. In fact, wait, let's see who's last out the pits. Is it Pedreño? No, is it Clay? It's Clay.
Longe.
It's Clay.
Oh, but will Shanaka make it to the line?
No.
I don't think he will. I think Longe might be the man in the clear here. Jake Benham's on a push lap at the minute on the intermediate tyres. We've seen DRS get enabled. So these drivers certainly are going to be geared up for their soft runs. Benham's still trying to find time on the intermediates. I'm seeing if it's working. It is indeed. He's actually gone purple through here, so it could be a Jake Benham masterstroke if the track conditions aren't suited enough to the slick tyre. And surely those who've been a bit too eager coming out on the slicks won't be in the best position. And I'm thinking about Tomek Parajic, I believe it is, in his McLaren. He's come out very early, so he might not get the best of the conditions. We've got 40 seconds left but before qualifying strike 0. I don't know where it's going to go from here.
Yeah, is Benham going to get through this okay? Because they're all going to be going slowly on dry tyres. This could be a bit of a moving chicane for Benham. Whoa, a little bit of a slide there for Benham. Barry Buruman's in the way. Oh, and Benham just about avoids him. It should be enough to go quickest, despite a bit of a wacky, dodgy final sector. Benham round the final corner. Surely he's going to lower the time. No, he's not. He's going slowly. 51.8. Benham fails to improve. The time was not there. So his lap, who was slightly hampered at the end, but I don't think it would have made much of a difference for Jake Benham, who will be 9th on the grid. And now this gets very, very interesting. Barry Buruman gets us going on the drying track. It's not dried out yet. Will he make it through Eau Rouge? How committed can Barry Buruman be through that part of the track? Very is the answer. Almost flat out through there. Let's see how he goes as he now reaches that first sector timing beam. Keep an eye on the right hand side. Crossing it now. 30.7 through the first sector for Barry Buruman. How is Jarno Opmy? We missed it. But we'll see how he goes as well. But both of them are out there. The last man over the line was... Who was it? Was it Longe right enough? It was. So Longe, but he's also tucked right up behind Beresney. So Longe being last might not have helped him, because now Beresney is right in front of him. Will it give him dirty air, or will it give him a tow? It's going to be very, very interesting. But there's one thing for sure. The first man over the line will be the Polish Eagle. It will be Tomek Parajic, who is now miles quicker than any time we've seen so far. 4.8 seconds. He is quicker than the time set by Jarno Opmy. Will it be enough for pole position for Perez? It needs to be a blinder because the track is drying behind him and there's cars going much, much quicker. Here comes Perez to set us all off here in qualifying. What kind of time will it be for the Polish driver? He rounds that final corner now, makes the run to the line. He will go pole with a 1 minute 44.9. What about his teammate? He's 5 seconds up on his previous best. This will be close. Here comes Buraman now, round the final corner, up to the line. What's it going to be? It's pole position of 44.6. Otmir behind him on the road, beats it, 144.5. Perigny beats it. He's on pole. Longue beats them all, snatches pole position, and is he on top? Pedreño pits and bails out. So Longue, last man over the line, does the job on pole position for Red Bull.
Was last man over the line that took it all for himself. Nicholas Longue, what a lap from him, and Jake Benham's having a little bit of a drift to close off Q3, but how about that for a grid? I don't know who would have ever bet that the front row would be Longue and Perigny. It's an all French front row lockout there, the Red Bull and the Ferrari, and I believe neither of us had Longue up for pole here.
Yeah, vive la France. Allez les Bleus, what a result for the French. Nicholas Longue on pole position, and it was all about being the last man over the line. The slipstream helped him too, and he beats Simon Perigny, who was on course there for a moment for a shock pole position in his Ferrari. Couldn't quite manage it. Jarno Otmir third, Danny Beresny comes home fourth, with both McLarens fifth and sixth with Buraman and Perez, and then the bottom four never got a time in. That's why they are much, much slower on the intermediate tyre. It was Ruben Pedreño, Alvaro Caraton, Shinaka Clay, and Jake Benham. What a session that was. We had to wait, Dan, for a dramatic ending to qualifying, but we finally got it. And I've got to say, I don't think either of us or anyone in the chat said Longue or Perigny. So there you go. PSGL as unpredictable as ever.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit wrong in our judgment today, but it was a great end to qualifying, one that we really did deserve after the events of Q1 and Q2, where nothing really happened, and we didn't get to see those proper fights right at the bottom of the order, you know, for those trying to scrap themselves out of the bottom five, and we didn't get to see that. So it's nice to see that we got a proper fight for pole position. Of course, it is going to be intermediate start. If they were in the dry conditions, anyone could start on whatever tyre they wanted, of course, since they all set their Q2 times on a set of the intermediate tyre. But of course, that's not the case. You know, they're going to be on that Inter. And just to confirm, we've loaded into the lobby now, and it's nice and damp out there. Yep,
damp conditions expected for it. But before we get into the race, just a quick reminder, folks, to join our grid. Yes, that's right. PSGL, they've teamed up with Grid Rival. Grid Rival, it's an app that hosts motorsport fantasy leagues, and PSGL have teamed up with them, and PSGL have got our own fantasy league for the F1 2022 season coming right up. And check the link there, premiersimgl.com/Grid Rival. Sign up, and if over 100 people sign up, there's a prize, a cash prize as well for the winner. So be sure to check that one out, folks. Myself and Dan will be signing up this week and battling each other for supremacy as the championship heads to Bahrain for the opening race. Just a quick one on that. What do you think? Who's going to win the opener, Dan, in Bahrain?
In Bahrain, you know what? I'm going to go with my guns here. I'm going to say Charles Leclerc. I think Ferrari, they're in a great position, but as far as grid rivals go, I don't think you're going to be in a great position, Andy. I'm not going to expect to see you anywhere near the top.
Oh, incredible. Imagine that. And he's going for Charles Leclerc for victory. I mean, and he thinks that's going to happen. Come on, it's Ferrari. We all know what Ferrari are like. The pre-season winter testing world champions, that's what they are. We'll see if you're right, Dan. We'll see if you're right. Be sure to join our grid, folks, and then we'll find out who is the best. But enough of that for now. Let's jump into this race. And here we are, folks. 22 laps ahead of the drivers here tonight. Should be a cracker. And as Dan said just before we jumped into this, intermediate conditions for the start. And it should be pretty interesting. Just run us by the weather again, Dan. 15 minutes of this, are we thinking?
I believe so. I think I've just closed TAS by accident, so I've got to load it back up. But yeah, I believe it's about 15 minutes of these conditions, so it shouldn't be we shouldn't be here too long. Of course, F1 does tend to be a little bit out of the range, so we could see dry running within the first 10 laps. We don't know at this point, but it goes light rain for the first 15, then the 30-minute mark it's overcast, and then for the rest of the race 45 minutes to 60 it's going to be cloudy. So at some point in this race we should see dry running. When that is, it's all up to speculation, and hopefully it can be a corker either way.
Yeah, not long till we get going. I'm loving all the chat being discussed at the minute with all the hype for the F1 2022 season. So many people saying different drivers are going to win. You know what? Well, you know what to do? Sign up for Grid Rival, and then we'll see who knows what they're talking about. Then we'll know who is correct and who is not. But anyway, folks, let's talk about this tonight. Who's going to win tonight, Dan? Who's your money on? Everyone in the chat, come on, let us know. Who is going to take the victory here tonight?
We'll go... You know what, I think I'll go with the safe option. 4 on the trot. Jarno Opmeer's going to win today.
Oh, he's going for Opmeer. He's going for Connect 4 with Jarno Opmeer. Let's see if you're right. I'm going to go something different. What will I go for? What will I go for tonight? I think it's going to be a wacky race. But I think it'll be one of the drivers near the top. I'm going to go for Danny Beresnay at Spa. The chat is littered with Jarno. They all think he's going to get 4 in a row. Can he make it 4 in a row? He was so angry after France. He was determined to show everyone what he's all about. He's been taking it so seriously, and he's on top form. The last car, Thomas Ronhart, moving into position now alongside his teammate Louis Welsh as we get ready for round 8 of this World Championship here in PSGL. Jarno Opmeer has a 22-point championship lead. Will it be reduced? Will it be extended tonight? Dan Field thinks it will be extended. He thinks it will be 4 wins in a row. I'm going for Beresnay at his beloved Belgium. He loves it round here. Longuet and Perigny on the front row. It's a French lockout here tonight as we just wait for the grid to get going. Is Michael Massey asleep? What is going on, Michael Massey?
We've got Alessio's AI car going around the circuit at the minute, so all these guys are having their tyres wear down in terms of the temperature. Alessio's AI is just to pull Frere now, so I think we might get a lobby restart. I see Paracic has left the session, so I'd imagine that we're... I don't know why this has happened. Alessio, I saw he left the session. For some reason, his AI just decided to sit on the grid. For whatever reason, they said, okay, I think it'll be fine for them. Paracic is just getting back onto the game, so I think he actually had a game crash or something. But in towards bus stop chicane, Alessio is finally going to get on the grid slot, and we'll get to go.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get to go racing after all. All the drivers sitting on the grid, letting their tyres freeze. But De Capua, late to the party, but he has arrived. And, okay, what on earth is this? What on earth is this? Okay, hopefully we'll get going in a few moments' time, but... okay, I jumped away from that there. Oh, no! Oh, lights out, away we go. I wasn't expecting that. And away we go into turn 1. Nicholas Longuet takes the lead. Perigny up the inside. Nearly gets through into the first corner. And he gets it done. Perigny into the lead. What a shot that is. Simon Perigny is through. What a brilliant jump from the Frenchman. The 2 Frenchmen on the front row. Perigny leads in PSGL. Opmeer behind Nicholas Longuet. And already on the attack. Trying to pull alongside in his quest for 4 in a row. Up the hill they go. Towards the breaking point for Lecombe. Longuet ain't close enough. He stays where he is. Meanwhile, behind that, Beresnay battling away with Ruben Pedreño, and we almost missed the start. Thankfully we didn't. And now we've got action behind. Yoni Tormala is round, and there he is now, getting back going again. What happened there, Dan? Oh, we got more off. Hold on. Parazis off as well, and down to 19th. Make that 20th.
Yeah, I think that was all a bit of a chain reaction there. I saw Tomek and Yoni have some contact. Yoni, I think, dropped it on his own, and unfortunately there went around. So really sad to see that those guys' race already not going off to a good start. But at the front of the order, what a start it's been for Perigny. Such a young, talented driver in the Ferrari, leading a grid of esports veterans by about 0.5 of a second. Jarno's already on the rear of Longuet, so he's going to think about a move as soon as he can, and you'll see through Stabilo, he's about 0.2 back. Could potentially go for a move in towards... Oh, Jarno, oh my word. Almost dropping it at Paul Frere, and that's going to cost him quite a bit of time, but luckily he's managed to keep it out of the barrier, and already he's closing to the rear of Longe in towards the bus stop chicane.
Nice.
He's getting a bit too close for comfort. He could go for the move in towards the braking zone to the outside. Oh, he had a half look on Longe, who's actually outbroken himself, and now trying to make a switchback move work. It's Jarno Otmir looking around the outside off the exit of the corner. He's got no room at the in, and now they could run wheel to wheel off the exit in towards La Source. Here comes Jarno Otmir pulling to the inside line. Braking zone met by the pair of them. It's going to be Otmir up the inside. The Flying Dutchman manages to scythe his way down the inside on Nicolas Longe, and he set that move up about 4 or 5 corners in advance.
Oh, here comes Longe back again. This is a brilliant fight between them. Parages retires from the race after that messy opening lap. These two doing battle. Otmir against Longe, the Dutchman against the Frenchman. Otmir made the move into La Source. Longe's coming back towards Lecombe, pulling alongside the Mercedes. Can the Frenchman go round the outside? No, he can't. Otmir breaks much later, fends him off, and the champion holds him off, and now he can chase after Perigny in the quest for 4 in a row. Brilliant racing between them. Longe has to give way, and now Otmir is in between both French drivers and looking very strong. Great racing there. Further down the field, Shinaka Clay in the midst of a big battle right behind Ruben Pedreño. What a race this is already.
Really is fantastic, and Jan Otmir, he's now going to be in hot pursuit of Simon Perigny in the difficult conditions. And well, Simon Perigny, he's a very talented driver, but he isn't Jarno Otmir, who is quite potentially the best Formula 1 driver on the game of all time. So you know, you could call him the GOAT, and he's already tracking down that Ferrari. It's a real 2017 story that we're getting here. It's Mercedes against Ferrari, but it's the Ferrari actually leading the way from the Merc, as on lap number 2. I think Jarno, he's beginning to gap Nicolas Longe in behind, but it's all a bit of a melee further back down because they're all within one train of each other. Yeah. I think Shinaka Clay, he's getting a bit close to Ruben Pedreño.
Yeah, he's getting very, very close to Ruben Pedreño. The new Williams man is fancying a go down the inside of Ruben Pedreño. Pedreño keeps the door open but breaks late enough to hold him off. Now he's gone for the old switcheroo coming out of the bus stop chicane, but Pedreño gets superb traction and at the minute is going to fend him off as they go into the first corner. Good stuff there between those guys. And am I seeing Joni Tormela on a set of dry tyres already? I think I am. We'll have to go and see how he gets on in a few moments' time. But Shinaka Clay, one of the drivers in this championship fight, really needs to start taking points out of Jarno Otmir because his form has been dipping and he's now sliding his way through the Eau Rouge corner. Now behind Ruben Pedreño, the Alpine driver. He's in the slipstream right behind him. Can he get closer and closer and maybe make that move into Lecombe? He thinks about the move, but he can only think and no more. Pedreño holds him off for now. How's Tormela getting on? He's coming into the pits. He's bailed out. Perigny leads at the front to a tune of 1 second. What a start for Simon Perigny.
Joni Tormela has retired. Meanwhile, Clay tried to go for a gap that was never really there on Ruben Pedreño, and now the Spaniard's teammate of Fabrizio Donoso is trying to find himself some more points in this race, currently in P10 on his return to the PSGL grid. It's great to see the Chilean driver back in action here, currently down in 10th off his Q2 exit. They all go off the circuit there, but they've all managed to hold on as they continue on at this rate. They're quite driving at a level I don't think anyone can quite match here.
Yeah, incredible. I've just seen Tino Nakarunen and Louis Welsh go side by side on the entrance into Pujon. Incredible stuff between those two. But thankfully it all works out as we keep an eye on Luke Smith at the minute. Of course, Donoso, 3-second penalty, perhaps a little bit rusty, not been league racing for a while after his trip back home to Chile. And a little bit of a rusty start there. 3-second time penalty, not what he would have been looking for. As we keep an eye on Luke Smith getting ever closer to the back of Donoso, but not quite close enough as this train begins to settle down. And as I say that, Luke Smith almost runs into the back of Donoso. But Perigny out front, this is very, very impressive. It's early days, but this is impressive. Keeping the gap above a second, new fastest lap for the Frenchman in the Ferrari. Go on, Simon Perigny.
Yeah, it's a real David and Goliath story. I know you like to use that one with Tom's Canada win in WOR, but Simon Perigny against Jarno Otmir, that really is, you know, the young hotshot against the established 2-time F1 Esports champion and 3-time PSGL champion. So it is really going to be a tough task to beat him, but he's already gapped him by 1.2 tenths. He's not losing, 1.2 seconds. He's not losing any time at the minute to Jarno Otmir. Maybe he's not pushing as hard at the moment, and we could see him later on. Also, one thing I'm noticing here, Andy, I'm starting to see a little bit of a break in the cloud. Starting to get a little bit lighter at Spa-Francorchamps.
Get the sunscreen on. At long last, we're going to get some dry weather here. At long last at PSGL, we even went to Saudi and got the rain. I'm bringing it everywhere I go. That's what happens when you're Scottish, folks. Trust me, it happens all the time. But anyway, enough of me. Here is Cedric Tomei in P12 at the minute, fighting with Thomas Ronhar, who came up, by the way, from the back of the grid. He's flying. What a start he's had. Let's have a look at the position change. He's up 7 places, folks. Really good start for him. Louis Welsh's teammate is also up 5. So the Haas cars flying off the back of the grid. Günther Steiner will be loving life.
I mean, they've had a spectacular run so far in this race, and Ronhar might want to add to his successes because he's already closing to the rear of Cedric Tomei. He's got a lot more ERS in the battery as well. I say that, he's actually just deploying it now to get closer to the rear of the Alfa Romeo. Both of them with Ferrari-powered units, and in towards the bus stop chicane. Is Ronhar going to look up the inside? You bet he will. Sticks her nose in there. Can't quite find the advantage. Otmar with the fastest lap of the race. They're still going quicker, but Thomas Ronhar off the exit of the bus stop chicane now, having to look to the outside of turn number 1 in towards La Source. They go wheel to wheel, closer contact between the pair of them. Can Ronhar pull off a switchback move? He's got the superior exit, and now he's going to close to the rear, and possibly, don't tell me he's going to go for a move into Eau Rouge, and that would have been suicide in the wet weather conditions to make that move stick. But if he gets a good run through here, he could go for it in towards the Kemmel Straight, and indeed he does. He cuts over the curb ever so slightly. Barry and Longuet have had an exchange as well. Barry Burman's gone up in towards P3, and Thomas Ronhar has made the move for 12th position. So up and down the order, Andy, they're all making moves.
Yeah, plenty of moves out there. Ronhar now up 8 places from his starting position. What a start to the race he's having. Really, really impressive stuff from him after not getting a lap in qualifying and starting dead last. So Ronhar on the charge. Otmar beginning to make some inroads. Here we go. He's pulled the pin, and Perigny is under pressure. So here comes Otmar. Let's see how quickly he will get there. Perigny in trouble. Let's see. Have a look at the telemetry. Is he burning ERS? No, he's not. Is Perigny burning ERS? He's burning a little bit more. So as Otmar beginning to home in, and that black shadow over Mercedes beginning to get ever bigger in the mirrors of that Scarlet Ferrari.
I think Simon Perigny, he's going to be feeling a little bit nervous at the moment, as Shinaka Clay unfortunately gets a 3-second time penalty. He's now broken the 7/10 barrier to the rear of Perigny. So Otmar is flying at the minute. We'll see what he can do on this lap by. You'll see he's got a lot more confidence in towards the bus stop chicane on the brakes, and I think he might have gained probably a 10th or 2 just through there alone, as off the exit of the final turn. Yeah, of course, fastest lap for Jarno Otmar. I'm not making any bets with this man tonight because I'm going to lose 100%, as he is now within 5/10 of Perigny. So it could be the day of reckoning for the Frenchman. He's led the race since the beginning, since turn number 1. He's done a superb job so far, but it could all come to a close here because Jarno Otmar is now within slipstream territory. He's about 4/10 to the rear of Simon Perigny in the wet weather. No DRS is enabled, so Otmar not using any of his battery. He can't go this time by, but certainly within the next few laps, he's going to be hounding the rear of that Ferrari.
And here comes Donoso having a little look up the inside of Shinaka Clay, but not quite close enough to find a way through there. Things beginning to settle down away from this battle at the minute. Elsewhere on the racetrack, around 3/4, the closest gap at the minute. This one, Shinaka Clay versus Fabrizio Donoso at the minute. So Donoso and Clay, the only 2 drivers, plus Philip Presnader with a time penalty at the minute. We're only on lap 6 out of 22. It's been a very exciting start. Plenty of overtakes out there on the racetrack at the minute. We'll go to Otmar in a moment's time, but we'll just keep an eye on these guys battling now as Donoso drops off the back of Shinaka Clay, and that is now attracting the attentions of the man right behind him, Luke Smith, getting ever closer as well. So things getting quite interesting. Thomas Ronhar, who's been the biggest mover in this race so far, as we've got a car off the road, and that is Alessio Di Capua going for a spin and damaging the front wing as well, and that is not what he would have been looking for in the Aston Martin. He's going again, but it's not going to plan at all for him as we go back to this battle. Simon Perigny against Jarno Otmar. He's dipped underneath the 3-second margin, and he's now right within range if he wants to go for the move. Perigny has put in a fine performance in qualifying, and he started the race very brightly as well. Some would say it's been a bit of a surprise to have him running at the front He's still a very, very good driver, but this man is one of the very, if not the very best, and he's trying to make it 4 wins in a row, and he's getting ever closer to the back of that Ferrari as they start lap number 7 out of 22. Mercedes against Ferrari. Is Jarno Opmeer about to go for the move? Perigny under pressure, the rear sliding ever so slightly, and surely he's a sitting duck. There's Opmeer, he's deploying the telemetry, he's deploying the battery, and he's getting ever closer now to Perigny. He's going to try and go up the inside and take the lead on lap number 7. Up the inside he goes on Simon Perigny. Perigny keeps his foot in, will not give it up. What a fight between the pair, but Opmeer has the position and has the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix, and is he on course now for a 4th win in a row here in PSGL. Opmeer into the lead. Brilliant move, Dan.
And I think that was inevitable. Jarno Opmeer, he's just a man on fire. Once he gets into his rhythm, he is completely unstoppable. What a man. He didn't even win for the first 5 races of this season. Now he's looking at his 4th win in a row, but he's still got to pull the car home, and all credit as well goes to Simon Perigny for being able to lead a grid of esports veterans and upcoming stars for 7 laps in the wet, and I think that's got to be an achievement on its own. He's still got his race to run, and he's probably not going to try and fight with Jarno all too hard. I think Jarno, he's going to pull what he did in Saudi last week and begin to slip away ever so slightly. He's already 6/10 clear of the Ferrari, and now I think the Frenchman's got to turn his attention to his mirrors, because he's got Barry Burman within a second of him.
Barry Burman getting closer to the back of Simon Perigny. Meanwhile, Cedric Tomei is at the back of this train as well, and it's quite the scrap that's developing on the fringes of the top 10 here. Donoso at the front of it, struggling for pace it seems at the minute. He's 2.3 off the back of his teammate Ruben Pedreño, and look at the train he's towing. He's got Shanaka Clay in there, Luke Smith, Thomas Ronhar, Cedric Tomei and Tino Nakamura. There's so many in that line, and yeah, it could be quite the battle developing there. I think a few of the cars behind him are thinking about making a move pretty soon. Let's see if Shanaka Clay is one of them in that line. Getting a bit impatient behind Fabrizio Donoso. They both have a time penalty, of course. Well, let's see how they get on as they get to the top of the hill. Shanaka Clay deploying none of his battery. Not keen on going for the move at the minute. Luke Smith might be, though. He's right behind him. And is he going to go for the move? He is going to go for the move, but he's not close enough to make that move as they reach the braking zone. And it's a status quo from 9th down to P14, Dan.
Absolutely, they're all just following within each other. They want to get the elbows out and start battling, but it is very difficult in these conditions, which don't appear to be letting up at the minute. Although we are seeing some break in the clouds, there is still a consistent fall of rain on circuit at the moment, so I don't think we are going to get any dry running for the foreseeable future. At the front of the order, though, Danny Berejnay is looking close to the rear of Nicolas Longuet, who has been completely dropped by Barry Burman, now 1.4 seconds off the back of the Iranian ace, now at the mercy of the Ferrari. And if the Ferrari can actually get ahead of Longuet, he could possibly challenge onto the rear of Barry and help his teammate out, because every little does help. The best supermarket in all of the UK, as here comes Danny Berejnay closing to the rear of Nicolas Longuet, but I don't think he's going to go for the move in towards the bus stop chicane. We'll see what kind of run he gets. We could see what Jarno Opmeer did on Longuet, where of course he set the move up a few corners in advance, and I think Berejnay's done that because he's prioritised getting a good exit off the final corner, but even so he doesn't get the drive that he would have wanted, as Nicolas Longuet beginning to pull away ever so slightly. As in towards the first corner they go. Danny Berejnay following in behind Nicolas Longuet. He's been closing for a number of laps at this point in the race, and it all could culminate into one moment as up the hill through Radion they go. Oh, Longuet with a slide, and he catches the car, manages to hang on, but that's going to make the move even easier for Danny Berejnay, who soars past in towards the Kemmel Straight. Doesn't even need to use his battery here, and I think Longuet, he's going to need a new pair of boxes after that one.
That was incredible how he held on to that one. What a slide that was. Dramatic stuff going on there between those drivers, and yeah, as you said, it made the move much easier, and through goes Berejnay up into the top 4 and showing a good turn of pace in these damp conditions. But this battle, it's still going on. Donoso, Clay, Smith, Ronhard, Tony and Nakarunen all in a line, fighting over 9th and 10th, the final points paying positions in this race. It looks like it go a long way into the race, that battle. Meanwhile, Simon Perigny, he ain't dropped out with a second. Jarno Opmeer hasn't checked out like he did last week in the wet in Saudi Arabia. And you've got to hand it to Simon Perigny. This is a really, really strong performance as we get closer towards the halfway stage.
Yeah, he's managing to hang on to the coattails of Jarno Opmeer pretty damn well here. He's actually beginning to close the gap ever so slightly. Maybe the Frenchman could challenge on towards Jarno's rear later on in the race, but just looking at the telemetry, Opmeer's got 80%, Perigny has 40, so he is struggling to with the resource management, which is in the favour of Jarno Opmeer at this moment in time. But fair play to him for still being able to stick with a two-time F1 Esports champion, a three-time PSGL champion, as Longuet. Oh, it's actually Danny Bergeny in the pit lane here, as is Jake Benham. They're going to pit early, and one thing I've just noticed, Andy, we've got no more rain on the circuit. It's going to be soft for Benham. What about the Ferrari car? It is going to be mediums towards the end here, and they're all filing in the pits, and DRS has been enabled, and this could be huge actually for the likes of Bergeny and Benham, and even Donoso and Clay, because they could get the jump if the softs are, if the slick tyres are quicker than the intermediates. They're going to get a huge undercut on those in front.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive for the outcome of this Grand Prix, folks. This is a huge, huge moment. Danny Bergeny timing it to perfection, and he now makes his way. Oh, look at that, how slow he's got to go going through Eau Rouge. DRS now has been enabled. That usually is the trigger for the mediums or the dry tyres being quicker. Opmeer has got a full lap to do on the intermediate tyres, which we believe is now the slower tyre. Let's change the gap to the leader. There it's there. Danny Bergeny, 21.3 behind Jarno Opmeer. Watch it come down. 21.2. Watch it. It'll come right down. But will it come down enough for him to jump right to the front of the train and take the lead of the race? That's what we've got to watch. There is Bergeny. Let's pick him up now. Meanwhile, behind that, Donoso is battling away with Luke Smith and has lost out now to Shinaka Clay and Luke Smith, who have now made a little bit more progress. Perigny now right behind Opmeer and keen to put pressure on as they approach the pit stop. Bergeny now 20.8 behind. Will it be enough though for them to get the jump ahead of Jarno Opmeer? This is going to be a massive point of this Grand Prix. Keep an eye on it as they make their way towards the pit lane now, and surely you will see the Flying Dutchman peel his way into that pit lane. Bergeny's taking a second out of them, and it will be even more by the time Opmeer slides his way towards that line. This is going to be oh so close on exit. If Bergeny isn't ahead, he will at least be in the slipstream, you feel. Opmeer pulls in. Will he be held now by anyone else? Will he be held? No. He gets in, no problem.
And then jumped him.
And Benham has got...
jumped Bergeny.
He's jumped
Bergeny.
Wow.
On the set of the softs. Of course, the quicker tyre in the changeable conditions. And surely now Jake Benham in towards the first corner here. He could jump his teammate. It is going to be so close. And off the exit, I think it's going to be just about Benham jumping Barry Burman as they could run wheel to wheel in towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Jake Benham tucks into the wheel tracks of the McLaren car as now rising up the hill. Can Benham capitalise and get a podium out of this? Oh, there's a little bit of contact. Front wing to rear left tyre of the McLaren. The Iranian ace getting involved as well as Danny Bergeny. They could be throwing abreast in towards the Lecom chicane. There goes Benham, there goes Bergeny. Burman's been jumped by the pair of them with the more warmed up tyres. It's going to be Benham in towards P3, Bergeny into fourth, and Barry Burman just unlucky there to lose out on two positions within one straight.
Wow, absolutely incredible racing here as the track continues to dry out. These drivers have been flung with so many curveballs here. Look at Burman, he's pushing Bergeny here, going through no name, and Bergeny's letting him back through. Okay, so he lets him back through then and concedes the place. So Bergeny will now have to repass Barry Burman.
I mean, that was crazy stuff that we've just witnessed there. I think that Danny recognises that Barry is going to be the quicker driver, so he's just going to try and hang within his slipstream, not fight him too hard, because they're going to lose touch with the leaders pretty damn quickly. And also, now just thinking about it, the DRS being enabled, that will help Simon Perigny in his fight with Jarno Opmeer. He's about 6/10 to the rear of the Mercedes car. And it's not going to be too much of an advantage in the changeable conditions, especially from this far back. But again, it is going to be of some assistance to him, and we'll see what the gaps can be at the end of the Kemmel Straight, as Luke Smith has managed to get past Shanaka clean towards the bus stop chicane. That was around the outside into the first part of the corner, so really impressive stuff. But Andy, it is all kicking off here on lap number 12.
It is. Shanaka Clay going to try and come back at Luke Smith into turn 1, but he won't be able to do that, and it will remain as they were. What about Simon Perigny? Is he going to use any of his battery to get any closer to Jarno Opmeer and maybe consider a move? Let's see. He'll get the DRS open now, and he will start to close on the back of that Mercedes, and he'll be right behind him. Right behind him. Will he even go for the move? He thinks about it. No, he decides against it, but look how close it is. Perigny right in the hunt for victory here. Meanwhile, behind that, Longy now up to 5th. Caraton 6th, and Beresney down to 7th. What has gone on for Danny Beresney going backwards on those medium tyres?
Yeah, opting for the mediums is not going to be the ideal strategy, and I think at this point, given they're on lighter fuel loads and in the interchangeable conditions, they're not going to be putting as much wear onto the tyres as they would at the beginning of the race. So I'd say that the softs can go to the end. Of course, towards the end of this race, Danny and Donoso and Ronhar, they're all going to be quicker than the soft runners, but the damage could already be done because Beresney is losing quite a huge chunk of time. Meanwhile, someone who's making up some time is Simon Perigny once again. Closing to the rear of Jarno Opmeer, and Opmeer might actually be feeling some of the pressure. Everyone had counted him out at this point and said Jarno has won this race, but PSGL just loves throwing in a little bit of a curveball because Simon Perigny is now within 0.4 of a second off the back of Jarno Opmeer in towards the bus stop chicane for the 12th time out of 22. We're just over the halfway point. Make sure you like and subscribe. 2,000 live viewers here could be witnessing Simon Perigny fighting it out with Jarno Opmeer. Perigny sets the fastest lap in the process, and that's already getting trumped by everyone as track conditions continue to improve. I think both Mercedes drivers could actually be under pressure because Burman has closed to Benham. I don't know quite where to look at this point in time, but Perigny, he is showing indications that he wants to go for this move. He's closing to the rear of Jarno Opmeer, and there's now within 0.2 of a second off the back of the Mercedes car. The Flying Dutchman really has no defense here for the Scarlet Red prancing horse of Simon Perigny to go up the inside and in towards Lecom chicane. He makes the move stick, as does Barry Burman. So the tides turn once again in Belgium.
Well, there you go then. Both Mercedes going backwards, as you suspected they might. Jarno Opmeer overtaken by Simon Perigny. So, unlike what we saw last time out in Saudi, where we had a damp race throughout, and then we had damp at the start of this one, Perigny clung on to Opmeer's coattails, and he's now re-overtaken the Flying Dutchman, and the Frenchman is going after a famous win here at Spa. Can he pull it off? It would be some job against Jarno Opmeer, who's in the form of his life, going for 4 straight PSGL wins in a row.
Of course, I think Jarno Opmeer, he's probably going to be playing the long game here. I think if he was feeling the threat from Perigny, he would have fought that a lot harder. So I'm saying at this point in time, Jarno is just going to try and stick behind the Ferrari car and try and save up some of the battery and also use the DRS to advantage, sort of carry onto his coattails, you know, just harpoon himself to the rear and maybe take a little bit of a kickback, because at the end of the race, when he's not used his resources and it's been Simon Perigny doing all the heavy lifting, Opmeer is going to be in a great position to take the win of this race. But for the time being, Simon Perigny is leading Jarno Opmeer, and that in itself is a wonderful sight to see. Pedronia with the fastest lap. The times are going to continue to tumble down here. I'm seeing further back behind, I think, once again, a Ferrari car is going to be overtaken. It's going to be Danny Beresney, who's just been slipping further and further back here, Andy, as up the hill, Luke Smith is going to be challenging his rear.
Yep, here he goes then, and Danny Beresney not making the mediums work at the minute. It could come back to him towards the end of the race, we'll wait and see, but it feels like the damage is done already, and Luke Smith eases past Beresney and into 8th position. Danny Beresney, who loves it round here, really not enjoying it on those medium tyres, and he concedes yet another position, and through he goes. How's Thomas Ronhar getting on? Up to 12th, has charged up through the field, kind of stagnated a bit, not making as much progress as he was earlier on, so a bit of a shame for him as things stand. But Simon Perigny out front doing the job at the minute. Let's have a little look, folks, and I'm sure you all want to know, at the ERS management. 52% on Simon Perigny at the minute. Jarno Opmeer, wow, charging it up 90%, waiting for his moment to pounce and attack Simon Perigny. So, we know how clever Jarno Opmeer is. He's been in this situation so many times before. He knows how to execute the victory from here. Let's see how Simon Perigny gets on. Let's see how he goes, how well he can manage his ERS, because he's going to need to try. Can he outfox the brilliant Dutchman? That's got to be his aim if he wants to win here tonight in Belgium.
Yeah, of course, he still has the track position over Opmeer at this moment in time, and if he can still hold off some sort of advantage, and if Jarno makes some sort of miscalculation, Perigny still could be in the clear here. As Longuet getting close to the rear of Jake Benham. It's just gone to a fastest lap the way of the Frenchman in the Red Bull, setting pole position. He slipped back in this race, caught out by Benham, pitting a lap earlier, has now been jumped by the Englishman in the car, as I think Jarno Opmeer is actually closing to Perigny, and he goes back down the inside, and it's all kicking off once again because Jarno Opmeer makes the move for the lead of the Grand Prix, and Jake Benham closes to Burman. I don't know where to look, Andy. I'm having sensory overload here.
Yeah, it's all happening, action everywhere, and now Longuet fancies his chances behind Jake Benham. Whoa, that was wild from Longuet. I thought he was going to run into the back of Jake Benham there. Thankfully he didn't, but that looked as if it was almost an attempt at a dive up the inside. That could have been very tasty indeed. Thankfully there was no contact, but Longuet really pushing hard there and going for the move, and it almost resulted in an incident, but thankfully it did not. Bruneman, Benham, Longuet and Canaton all on the line, fighting over the final podium spot. Let us know in the chat, folks. Who do you think will get that final podium spot? Bruneman, Benham, Longuet or Canaton? It looks like it'll be one of them, because it looks like it's a two-horse fight for the lead, and is Opmeer trying to break the resistance of Simon Perigny? He might be using the ERS, he's at 76%, but Perigny, fair play to him. He's hanging in there, doing a great job, but look at that ERS, down at 33% now, and maybe beginning to struggle a bit. What about this though? This is the one we want to watch for now, with the gap up at 7/10 in front. Let's watch something where the gap is half that. Barry Bruneman versus Jake Benham versus Nicolas Longuet in the fight for the final podium spot. Who is going to get it? We'll have to wait and see as they go through La Source once again. Longuet clipping at the heels of Jake Benham, just as he was a few moments ago at Rivage, as they now climb up the hill through Eau Rouge. Benham right in the tracks behind Barry Bruneman, and from looking like being overtaken by Longuet, he's now attacking the Iranian driver. Oh, Barry Bruneman with a bit of a weave there, and now Longuet seizes the opportunity, looks left, looks right. We're three wide into the braking zone. Longuet's going to get the pair of them, isn't he? Benham holds it round the outside, and now Longuet goes for a spin. Off the track he goes. That was always going to happen. Bruneman, Benham and Longuet, and Longuet is the man that draws a short straw and goes for the spin. But I've got to say, a bit questionable moving there from Barry Bruneman on the straight. Almost caught Jake Benham out, who had to lift.
Yeah, that was a bit touch and go. That might get submitted to the stewards later on. I think Longuet's not going to be too happy about that being the case, because he was on for a potential podium in this race, and that has been completely shot. Now he's way down the order in 10th position. He's still going to be netting a point out of this race if all else is lost. But really unfortunate for Longuet, just a passenger in it. Completely not his fault at all. I think he got clipped on the inside. I don't know if Benham knew he was actually going through there. I just don't know where it was, where that all stemmed from. But what we do know now is that Longuet's got to get his head down in and try and close back up to Shanaka Clay in front of him. Meanwhile, though, Barry Burman at the top of the order is now going to try and challenge back towards Benham.
Yeah, just to be clear to people in the chat, I think it was Benham that clipped Longuet into the spin, but it was Barry that made a bit of the weave on the straight that led to Benham having to back out the throttle. So, you know, one for the stewards. I'm sure they can make their decisions on that one, but a little bit untidy. But let's see how round two goes, because here's Barry Bruneman gaining on the back of Jake Benham once more. And he's getting closer and closer, and it looks like he's going to be repassing Jake Benham down the straight. Benham not even going to defend it. It's going to be a breeze by for Bruneman, and as they get to the braking zone, he's back into the podium places. Meanwhile, look who's back right behind Jarno Opmeer, 3/10. This man, Simon Perigny, he just will not go away.
No, I think Simon Perigny has certainly put on one of the best performances we've seen this season, to be hanging on to the back of Jan Otmir and pulling a consistent gap to Barry Burman. It's now 3.7 seconds. Granted, they have been fighting for quite some time in this race, but you really do have to give all the credit to Simon Perigny today. He's put on a spectacular performance. Unfortunately, Alessio De Capua makes it 4 retirements in the pit lane. It's been De Capua, Yamulo, Tormola and Parajic are retirements of the day. But Perigny, I want to see what he can do here. Maybe he'll look to go back up the inside of Jarno Otmir, who's actually using his ERS down through Blanchimont. So maybe Perigny is a little bit too close for comfort for Jarno Otmir, who's not liking his company, as in towards the bus stop chicane they go once again. This is the closest gap on circuit that we have at the minute, and I think actually De Capua's car, Stricken, coming out of the pit lane, might actually cause some problems for Perigny if he wants to pass this time by, because of course yellow flags means he can't overtake, and they're about to cross into that sector now. As he goes deep in towards the first corner, does Simon Perigny. That's going to compromise his exit, and I think maybe a shot at an overtake could have been dashed here.
Yeah, looks like it. Didn't quite get that right going through that section. Let's see if he uses his ERS, or is he going to continue to try and save some up? He'll open up the DRS, and he will now gain on the back of Jarno Otmir, but as you can see, not using any of his battery. So he's trying to save it up. Otmir will probably be doing the same. He is. He's got a little bit more to play with, Jarno Otmir, despite being the lead car. So that is a sign that he does have more pure pace than Perigny, that he's saving the battery and still staying in front. It's just such a tactical battle to the closing stages of this race. Meanwhile, here's Donoso getting a move on Thomas Ronhart as they battle over 11th and 12th. Ronhart, his charge up to the field really did stall when he got to Donoso. So many drivers have struggled to get past Donoso today, and he is another one. He's stuck in P12 at the minute, and points look like a tall order from here. But at the minute, it's all about this fight for the victory. Jarno Otmir against Simon Perigny, and Perigny saving the battery again, up to nearly 70%. Otmir at 76, so he's gaining on usage. He's starting to save it up a little bit, Perigny, and he's doing the management phase very well here against Jarno Otmir. Can he outfox the GOAT? Can he do it? Let's see. 3 wins in a row for Otmir. Can Perigny prevent the Connect 4? That will be his intentions. If he can, it would be a sensational performance for Simon Perigny. The gap threatening to go above a second though, and Perigny will now need to use a dose of that ERS, and he does so now. So Otmir, with that extra little bit of pace, forcing Perigny to use a little bit of battery.
Yeah, and that's going to probably annoy Perigny ever so slightly. He's wanted to save up his ERS so he can go full onslaught attack in the last few laps of this race. He's still within DRS range of Jarno Otmir, and he's going to close up that gap very nicely through the Kemmel Straight. We'll see him here. The gap is going to rapidly decrease, and he doesn't even need to use any of the battery to get right to the rear of that Mercedes. But again, he doesn't tempt fate. It's lap number 19 of 22. Get your popcorn, because I think these last few laps are going to be absolutely crazy, as Benham is also close to the rear of Barry Burman. Finally, Ronhart has also found a way past Fabrizio Donoso for P11. He's now got 4 seconds until he catches Nicolas Longue. Where will the mediums phase into this race? I doubt that they can challenge the top runners, but Danny Berejne only 2 seconds off of the back of Pedreño. You know, he could be in a great position. So Andy, I don't really know where to look, but even so, we've got 3 laps left in this Grand Prix, and so many unfinished stories that need their conclusions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Don't go anywhere, folks. If you're enjoying it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're here almost every single Wednesday night, 7 p.m. UK time. Help us grow the channel and grow the world of esports and league racing. We love it. Got a yellow flag out there, and that is because Louis Welch, the padman, has gone for a spin in the Fania chicane, but he should get going once more. Let's go back to the front of the action as Danny Berejne continues to cut the gap to Pedreño. He could be one to watch for a potential podium here. Can he get there? We'll wait and see as Barry Burman holds several cars up, as we keep an eye on Simon Perigny. Look at the battery for Perigny, going up 86%, almost level now with Jarno Otmir on the battery management. This is a really, really strong performance from Simon Perigny. The level of performance that some might say might not have been expected from Simon Perigny, but he has been excellent, took his chance in qualifying, and is taking on the might of Mercedes, and Jarno Opmeer, he's gaining on Jarno Opmeer. He won't go for the move this time by. I tell you who might though. Look at that, through the middle goes Canaton, 3 wide into the braking zone. Is he through? No, he goes off the track. That was brave, but it didn't quite work out. He rejoins behind Benjamin Buraman, but wow, Canaton through the middle, didn't quite make it work, and he stays P5.
Yeah, ever the opportunist, Alvaro Caraton, he tried to make it work. Unfortunate that he had to go off the circuit and give those positions up. But if they're all fighting like this, Danny Berejnay just going to get closer and closer. He's now 1.1 seconds off the rear of Pedreño, and despite being in a DRS trend, you got to fancy his chances of going for an overtake. And I'd imagine someone else who wants to make a move is Simon Perigny very soon, because we're coming up towards the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, where we thought that Jarno Opmeer would stretch his advantage right from lap number 7 when he overtook Perigny for the lead. But Perigny has been spectacular today. He has put on a tantalizing performance, and regardless of whether it ends Opmeer and Perigny or Perigny and Opmeer, these two have been a cut above the rest in towards the bus stop chicane to start lap number 21 of 22. Simon Perigny following in behind Jarno Opmeer. Now they've got to deploy the battery. They've got to use their resources, because it is now or never for these guys. Perigny is within 4/10 off the back of Jarno Opmeer, as these tyres are going to be wearing out. They're going to be struggling for grip at this point. Clay retires in the pit lane, but here comes Simon Perigny, now within 4/10 of a second of Jarno Opmeer. He has a half slide up Radion, but here he goes now. A DRS is open, and ERS is being used as to go to the inside of Jarno Opmeer in towards turn number 4. It is up the inside for Perigny, and on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix, he leads the way from Jarno Opmeer, but he still has one more tour around this circuit before he can call himself a winner in PSGL.
Simon Perigny, he's just 1.5 laps, a few miles shy of a famous first victory in the top tier here in PSGL, and he would be ending a 3-race hot streak from Jarno Opmeer in the process if he can do it. You said it, Dan. He has outclassed, quite literally outclassed the pair of them, the rest of the field. 3.6 seconds over Jake Benham. It has been a fantastic performance from Perigny and Opmeer, but we still don't know who's going to win this race. Perigny pulled the pin. Has he pulled the pin a lap too early on Jarno Opmeer? Are we potentially going to see some tactics here from Simon Perigny? Will he perhaps let Jarno Opmeer through here? He's letting him get closer and closer. Let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be all, and Opmeer sits behind him. He backs out of it. What is going to happen in the next couple of corners? This could get very, very tactical as we begin the final lap of this Grand Prix. The most successful driver ever against a man trying to win his first top tier race. Will it be Perigny? Will it be Opmeer? Will he back out the throttle? Does it look like it? Perigny is surely going to be a sitting duck. Opmeer now with all the battery available to him as he tries to connect 4 straight victories here in PSGL. Perigny will try and defend with all his might. Here comes Opmeer though, one of the best there is. He's gaining, he's in the slipstream, he's alongside Simon Perigny, he's clear of Simon Perigny, he's back into the lead of the race, and surely now is on course to make it 4 wins in a row. What a performance from Jarno Opmeer. Hungary, Austria, Saudi, and potentially now the Belgian Grand Prix as well. Wow!
Jarno Opmeer, what a man. The chat is calling their GGs out right now, because he's got just 2 more sectors to go until he has won 4 on the trot to extend his championship lead to as high as it's ever been. He comes through Fania for the final time. All credit goes to Simon Perigny today for giving him the fight, but Jarno Opmeer, he is unbeatable, he's unstoppable, he is the invincible Flying Dutchman with now just 1 more sector to go. He rides through Blanchimont for the final turn, for the final few corners here. In towards Blanchimont he goes, using up the battery. Perigny has no answer for Jarno Opmeer. He is inevitable, but in towards the bus stop chicane for the final time. It has been 1, 2, 3 and 4 for Jarno Opmeer as he completes the quadruple hat-trick of wins. He crosses the line. Jarno Opmeer takes the victory in Belgium.
4 in a row, 4 in a row. He said after France he was going to come back a new man and really put the work in. Oh, they shouldn't have angered him, because that's 4 straight wins, 100%. When this man says something, he means it. He's on fire at the minute, and he is 4 straight wins for Jarno Opmeer. He's in the form of his life. He is simply just too good. But a special mention to Simon Perigny, who played a massive part in this Grand Prix. He was sensational, absolutely sensational. One of his best performances, taking on the might of Jarno Opmeer and almost beating him, but it wasn't to be. The experience told, and Jarno Opmeer does it again. Barry Buneman completes the podium. Jake Benham is 4th. Danny Beresny is 5th. Ruben Pedreño 6th, with Alvaro Caraton 7th. Well, I mean, I'm just running out of superlatives to describe this man. What a performance. Jarno Opmeer again, Dan.
Oh, you just can't get enough of this man. Everybody loves Jarno Opmeer in PSGL, but I think we do have to give the credit to Simon Perigny there for putting up a fight of his life, and I'd imagine that those two are going to have a nice little conversation on Discord about that one later. But Jarno Opmeer celebrates atop the podium. He takes the win in Belgium, but my drive of the day, I can't shy away from giving it to Simon Perigny. He was incredible today.
Yep, he really was. He was absolutely sensational, and like we've always said, we always try to disagree on driver of the day and have a little bit of balance, but I can't. I really can't. What a performance, Simon Perigny. Really made that an exciting race, because if it wasn't for him, Jarno Opmeer would have done what he did last week and disappeared. Well done to Simon Perigny. Great performance. 2nd place. Agonisingly for him. He left it, well, he made it a lap too early. Maybe should have went for that last lap move on Opmeer. It didn't pay off. Opmeer the victor. Perigny 2nd. Barry Buneman in 3rd, with Jake Benham P4. Danny Beresny is 5th. Made his way back through in the mediums, but not enough to get a podium. Ruben Pedreño was 6th ahead of his Spanish counterpart, Alvaro Caraton, in 7th. Nicholas Longuet was 8th, with Luke Smith 9th, and Thomas Ronhar rounded out the top 10 from last in the grid. Tino Nakarunen, Fabrizio Donoso, Cedric Tony, and Louis Welsh, and then Philip Presneder and Shinaka Clay was the last of the finishers. Alessio Di Capo, Dario Yamilo, Yoni Tormla, and Tomic Paradzis failed to see the checkered flag. Wow, what a race, Dan. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic stuff at the front. And it's refreshing to see someone else taking it to Jarno Opmeer up at the front. Very often it's Barry, sometimes it's Jake Benham, Nicholas Longuet. But tonight, special mention to Simon Perigny. He was superb, wasn't he?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, really. Simon Perigny was, he really did put up a fight. And, you know, a lot of drivers would just be intimidated by the presence of Jarno Opmeer. You know, overtaking him on lap number 7, I thought, okay, the race is over. Jarno's going to streak away. But he proved us all wrong. I don't think anybody would have expected the fight to go right to the end of the race. And, you know what? It kind of makes me proud to be wearing this lovely Christmas hat tonight. Hopefully we can get the pair of them and Barry in for an interview, because I'd really love to get their thoughts on that.
Yeah, I really would love to get their thoughts. I'd like to hear how Simon Perigny thought of that. I mean, how does he rank it in all of his league races? Because, you know, that is the best I've seen him, certainly in PSGL. Very impressive. And that will give him a real boost in confidence going forward, showing himself that he can really fight with the very best. Great stuff from him, but we can't go on without talking about Jarno Opmeer, Dan. 4 in a row, that's incredible now. What's that? Hungary, Austria, Saudi Arabia, and now victory in Belgium. And of course, if it wasn't for a pit lane infringement, it would be 5 in a row after France, and that's what kicked him on and really made him get the finger out. I mean, he's just in incredible form, isn't he? It's astonishing.
You know what I did say, Andy, after Hungary, if you recall back to that, I said that Jarno's going to go on a tear after this race, and I think I proved myself right. And you know what, I see him going on from here, because he just looks in complete control of the car and of this championship. I don't know if anyone else can challenge him at this point. He's so far ahead of anyone else in the fight for the title that it's almost inevitable. We're going to see 4 times champion Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Dan. Obviously, as commentators, we want to try and build up a championship fight, but at the minute, I don't see any evidence of a championship fight. At the start of the season, I was watching Barry Burman and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's really on it. This guy's really stepped it up. This guy looks like he is the man to challenge Jarno Otmir. He started the season so well, but Otmir has just found some more. He's dug in, and he's just too good. He's just too good. And that's 4 in the spin now, and this does now look like it's got a sense of inevitability about where this championship is going. But wow, what a fantastic race, and a really, really good performance from Jarno Otmir again. Well done to Sam Perigny. Hopefully we can get the guys in for interview. I'm not sure if they've jumped in yet. I'm going to jump over to the interview screen. That will allow me to have a little look and see if anyone is in. And they're both in, so that's great. Let's jump and grab them both right now, stick them in here and have a chat with them. Jarno Otmir, this is becoming a bit of a regular occurrence now. That's 4 wins on the spin. You're on fire at the minute. Another great win tonight, but you had to work for it. Perigny was brilliant, wasn't he?
Simon was rapid, just not only in the dry conditions, but also in the intermediate conditions. I think him and me were definitely the fastest on the intermediates. So he wasn't making it easy, but yeah, especially in that last lap where it got a bit tricky. He was trying to get DRS, I was trying to get DRS. But yeah, in the end it was very close anyway. Like always in Spa in the last lap, so yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, it was a really, really enjoyable race. Fantastic for us to watch. We were worried actually that you were going to do what you did in Saudi, disappear off into the distance, but I think that just shows how strong Simon Perigny was. It was a really, really good effort from him. I can't wait to hear what he thought of his performance, but it did look like it was a tactical battle on that last lap. For a moment I thought with the 3-second cushion you were both going to slow right down before that DRS line.
Yeah, we were both slowing down to try and get the DRS. I think Simon tried to pull away in the second last lap after he overtook me. And then I think halfway through the lap he realized that he was not going to make it. So we were both just slowing down and trying to get the DRS. But yeah, it was all fair and square in the end.
And Jan, I've got to ask you, I mean, I know I want to go back to this France thing. I'm not going to talk about the incident in particular, but after France you said you were going to come back and be on fine form. Like this is crazy though. I mean, this is now 4 wins on the spin. I mean, what percentage would you say you were at before France, and what percent are you at now? Is this you at 100? What were you at France? Because this is just like you've turned a switch and just would disappear up the road.
Yeah, I mean, for the first race of the season I didn't even practice, and then I slowly started increasing it, and especially after France, I just started going for it. This race I didn't practice as much for as Jeddah, as we've already done it in F1 Esports. But yeah, I also have other esports competitions coming up, so I also need to focus on that, of course. So now for this race I didn't practice as much, but yeah, the coming tracks are all F1 Esports tracks, I think so, which helps a little bit. As we already have setups and a lot of feeling of what's going to happen. So, definitely not 100% at the moment, but yeah, there's a track coming up that I haven't done yet, and I'll definitely practice like I did in Jeddah.
So not even at 100% yet. Wow, incredible. Wow, that's very, very impressive. Dan, the man with the Christmas hat on after what happened last week, have you any questions for our race winner, the man that's connected 4 wins up together?
Yeah, first off, I've not made any bets this time because I think I'm going to lose all of them. So I'd first off like to give you your congratulations for 4 wins in a row. You're on a complete tear here, Jarno. But I want to know if there was any track coming up that this hot streak would end. We've got Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico, Singapore, USA, Italy, I believe that's Imola, and then Bahrain. If any of those circuits are going to end the streak, which one would it be?
I like all the tracks coming up. I think in F1 Esports I struggled a little bit around Zandvoort, so that might be a tough one, but I think I figured out why I struggled, so yeah, that's not, I think, going to be as much of an issue this time around. And all the other tracks I felt really comfortable in F1 Esports. Of course, we didn't do Singapore, so that's going to be a completely new track, and no one has really any experience on that. So that's going to be a very interesting one. But yeah, other than that, I think I feel pretty comfortable on all the tracks coming up. So.
Well, I think that puts everyone else on high alert now that even this tear is going to continue on if you're feeling confident. Once again, a really big well done from me, and hopefully, once again, we can see you back here in the next few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jarno, just one more quick question before you go, just to give the viewers an insight of the practice and things like that. Like you say, you're when you do an esports tracks, you know, you're more up to speed and things like that. So see the other tracks in the game that, you know, aren't esports related. Do you practice them at all at any point unless you're doing a league race, or you know, or do you race on them sometimes if you're doing some career mode or doing some content? I mean, do you practice them at all, or do they just get left to the side? It's full priority on the other races.
Yeah, I mean, content-wise, of course, you sometimes do them. Also, just for fun, open lobby is a career mode. You do them as well, which maybe helps a little bit. Of course, it's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
That's when you're pushing flat out in a qualifying session. But yeah, the F1 esports tracks, of course, you've done hundreds of laps on them. And that just makes you already prepared before you even start practicing. So that makes life a lot easier for the F1 esports drivers, basically.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks very much for your insight. That's now 4 wins in a row. Congratulations on that. Let's see if you can make it 5, and who knows, we'll maybe hear from you again next week again.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you later. Simon Perigny, let's have a word with you. Well, what a performance that was. That was incredible. You made a race of that tonight. You made it a really enjoyable one. We were worried we were going to get another Jeddah with Jarno disappearing, but you were superb, and you must be absolutely delighted with that performance, and perhaps a little bit gutted not to win.
Yeah, I was absolutely gutted about the last lap. I was pushing on the lap 21 because I wanted him to be 7 tenths behind me so I can be comfortable in front. But he was, I had dead tires and everything. I couldn't do a thing. I was losing the rear every corner. So he has more experience than me. He's a 2 times world champion, you know, so I can't really do something. And yeah, I'm super happy about that result. P2 in F1, that's something. I'm only a reserve, you know.
Yeah, it's incredible. You must be so happy. I mean, Simon, honestly, we were watching it, and we honestly thought that Jarno was going to do what he did in Saudi. We thought he was going to disappear, but you showed what you're capable of tonight. You showed how strong you were. I'm sure people watching were slightly surprised as well. I don't mean that in any disrespect to you, but just know how strong Jarno is and what we've seen in recent weeks. But I mean, that was epic. That must give you so much confidence going forward now. You know, you've shown tonight you can take on Jarno Opmeer, really race hard against him. That must give you a real confidence boost and really make you believe that, you know, you can really push on and get yourself into these esports grids.
Yeah, when you do some results like that, like battling with people like this, it's honestly amazing for the forward races. So
do you see when you think about that race then, do you think there was anything different you could have done? Do you regret overtaking him on lap 21? Do you wish you waited till lap 22, or was the lap 21 overtake your only option, do you think?
No, I was waiting behind him to save tires, save VRS because I was very low. And when I saw there was some like 3 laps remaining, I was like, go for it. So I overtook him using everything, but when I saw my dead tires, like I said, it was done for me.
And it was a really good qualifying session for you as well. There was an opportunity there with the track drying. You were one of the last, I think you were one of the last drivers over the line. I might be wrong, but you really took it to brilliantly, full advantage. And it was a French front row lockout. Vive la France! That was good as well. You alongside Nicolas Longuet. You must have been happy with that too.
Yeah, honestly, it helped me, the rain in Q1 and Q2. Honestly, in Q1 I was very slow. I did a 41.7. I was P15, so I didn't expect to be already in Q3 and be P2 on the race. So yeah, I couldn't expect that anymore. And Nicolas Longuet was the last one, I think, on the track, crossing the flag. So.
Yeah. Well, you were really unlucky, mate. You missed out on pole by that, and you missed out on the victory by that, but still a very, very strong performance. Dan, have you got any questions for Simon? And by the way, Simon, just so you know, you're both our driver of the day. We've both gone for you for driver of the day. You were excellent today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, from me, I don't think I have any questions. I'm pretty sure Andy's he's given all of the answers that I wanted to know. But just from me, it was a really impressive performance. I was very pleased to see you in that position today, and surely in the next few weeks, if you are getting more chances in F1, we are going to see more performances like that. So really well done. I'll let you get away. We'll get out of your hair, because I'd imagine you'd want to go and celebrate that tremendous P2. But really, really well done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the commentary.
Yeah, well done, Simon. Hope to see you again in F1 and hopefully back on the podium. Great performance.
Yeah, thank you. And have a great day. I can't even talk. I don't have any words.
Right. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Well done.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya. Yeah, well, there is Simon Peregni having a word, Dan. Really, really pleased for him. He must be absolutely delighted. It'll be a big confidence boost for him as well. Really strong performance. So, yeah, really pleased for him. And yeah, I mean, let's hope he can get more chances in F1, because he was really good today. He made the race exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. At only 15 years of age, you know, he can't qualify for challenges this season unless he's turning 16 very soon. But I really do have to put this guy one of the first foot forwards for being a future F1 esports driver. You know, you could class him along the likes of Luke Smith and Jake Benham at this point, because in the past few months he's really stepped up to another level. I remember in I think it was WOR, when he was just getting into sort of the PC side of things, he was really, really quick right out of the gates, and he's just kept on improving. So I'm really pleased to see that he's found himself in this position, and I think he's got a bright future for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really, really good performance, and hopefully he can kick on and gather a bit of momentum. That's almost it from us, folks. Just a few things to recap before we go. Let's have a look at the calendar as things stand. We're now on to the second page, or the right-hand side of that calendar now. We're beyond the halfway stage. We've got, what's that, 7 rounds to go, 8 rounds down. And be sure to join us again next week. Or is it next week? No, it's 2 weeks. It's a week break. Sorry, my apologies. A week break for the Dutch Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. Jarno Opmeer goes to his home track, looking to make it 5 wins on the spin. Just so you don't forget, folks, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and you'll be aware of when we go live. We've got plenty of action across all platforms: PC, PS4, PS5s, and on Xbox as well. So be sure to check us out. Leave a like and subscribe. Also, before we go, a quick reminder once again, join our grid. That's right, we have partnered up with Grid Rival, an app which hosts motorsport fantasy leagues, and we have got one, a PSGL one for F1 2022. Be sure to check it out, folks. There is a cash prize if we get over 100 people signing up for it. There's the link, premiersimgl.com/grid rival for that one. Be sure to check it out, and yeah, hopefully get yourself signed up before the season starts this week for F1 2022. Should be an exciting season. But it's been really exciting here tonight as well. A fantastic race, a fantastic battle between Simon Peregni and Jarno Opmeer. But of course, Jarno comes out on top. That's 4 wins in a row. Join us in 2 weeks' time as we head to his home circuit in the Netherlands as he bids to make it 5. That's all from us. Good night.